それでは準備もできたようでございます。ここスウェーデン大使館オーディトリアム、本当に久しぶりにという感じなんですが、人がお集まりいただいております。もちろん感染対策バッチリして集まっていただいております。本日は北欧ヘルスサミットにお越しいただきまして誠にありがとうございます。また、オンラインでもたくさんの皆様見ていただいているとお聞きしております。どうもありがとうございます。ご参加いただきまして感謝しております。本日のプログラムについて少しご説明したいと思います。本日は、もう皆様ご存知かと思いますが、3部構成になっておりまして、一部は基調講演、そして北欧企業動向などのトークショー講演、また第2部は日本企業の北欧企業との協業などについての動向ですね。そして第3部は、大変興味深い北欧企業からのショートプレゼンテーションなどもございます。大変盛りだくさんな内容となっておりますが、途中2回コーヒーブレイクがございます。ここスウェーデン大使館のテラスにもお天気もね、ちょうどいいので出ていただきまして、様々なコミュニケーション、久しぶりのリアルなコミュニケーションをとっていただければと思います。どうぞ皆様リラックスしながら様々な交流をしていただければと思います。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。それでは開会にあたりまして歓迎のご挨拶を申し上げます。スウェーデン公使参事官レーナ・フォン・シドー、デンマーク大使ピーター・タクス・イエンセン、ノルウェー臨時代理大使リーネ・アウネよりご挨拶をいたします。どうぞ前の方にお進みください。お願いいたします。では、レーナさんよりお願いいたします。
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm very honored to be able to give the opening remarks for this Nordic Health Summit, Japan, to the first Nordic Health Summit in Japan. And this is indeed a true Nordic collaboration. The summit is co-organized by Business Sweden, Nordic Innovation House Tokyo, Business Finland, Business Iceland, Innovation Norway, and the Royal Danish Embassy. So for this reason, I'm very pleased to be able to welcome you together with the Ambassador of Denmark and the Chargé d'Affaires of Norway. Iceland's ambassador will be joining the summit later, and we also have representatives from Business Finland in the audience. And all in all, there are many staff members from the Nordic embassies that are joining this summit today. Let me also give special thanks to Nordic companies, business regions, and Japanese organizations that have contributed to the preparations for this summit. Now let me say a few words on the Nordics and healthcare. The Nordic countries and Japan spend approximately 10% of its GDPs on healthcare, which contributes to the well-being of our inhabitants, as well as the stability of our societies. With this in mind, it's only natural to focus on innovation in both Japan and the Nordics. Healthcare-related products are also important parts of our industries and important to our trade relations with Japan. Just to give one example, medical and pharmaceutical products accounted for 20% of Swedish exports to Japan last year. And the Nordic region prides itself on being innovative. The region is home for many new companies and unicorns. For instance, Stockholm is said to be only second to Silicon Valley in terms of unicorns per capita. The Nordic Health Summit Japan is a partnering and investor conference with the aim of connecting Nordic healthcare innovations with Japanese investors, industry, and ecosystems. We now have over 120 meetings confirmed between Nordic and Japanese companies and hope to get even more confirmed during today. So with this, welcome to all once more, and I'm pleased to give the floor to Line Arne from Norway.
Thank you, Lena. So the Nordic countries share both a history and a cultural heritage, but we also share a very strong commitment to democracy, openness, and welfare. Our values also impact our healthcare system with a people-centered approach aimed at providing high-quality healthcare equally to all citizens. People-centered implies empowering the patients, but also the healthcare professionals, and in order to create an innovative system and make it possible for them to contribute to transforming the healthcare system of our countries. The triple helix concept of collaboration between academia, government, and business is central to our and an important source of innovation in the Nordic countries. This concept guides innovation at all levels. We are building strong ecosystems where companies can co-create with the health sector, innovate, and scale their businesses. One such example in Norway is the Oslo Cancer Cluster. We aim to improve the innovation capacity on a local, regional, national, and Nordic level, and aim to promote international cooperation. Today, we are proud to be able to present more than 60 Nordic healthcare startups to over 60 Japanese companies in this Nordic Health Summit. The matchmaking meetings between Nordic and Japanese companies that will take place online over the course of the next 2 days are the core of this summit. With that, allow me to pass the microphone on to the Danish ambassador.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here. We've been going through this corona for so long with online meetings and only online meetings, and seeing so many faces here makes me very happy. Second thing that makes me happy is that, of course, when we are in the Nordics, we kick off in the right way. They had the right gender balance up here, so everybody knows that this is the Nordics coming to you. The intention of this summit is matchmaking. It's to try to create the strategic seeds for more strategic collaboration between Nordic companies and Japanese companies in the healthcare sector. We also hope to include investments from Japanese companies to the Nordic companies. So there's a lot that needs to be done over the next 2 days. We in the Nordics really truly believe that the increased cross-border collaboration will further accelerate innovation and contribute to improved healthcare and sustainable growth, not only in the Nordic countries, but also in Japan and across the world. So I would like very much to encourage all of you who joined this summit, both from the Nordics and here from Japan, to make the very most of the matchmaking opportunities and not to leave the meeting invitation unanswered. I think as they could very well be very good opportunities and there might be good ideas from those who invited you. So please accept all the invitations and go on and do the matchmaking process that we're looking very much forward to. Most likely there will come new ideas out of these meetings, and the best and quickest way to check it out is to turn up for the meeting online or in person. I truly hope that this event will serve as a first stepping stone to beneficial collaborations between Nordic countries and Japanese countries in this very, very important field, where I think from the Nordic side we have a lot to offer. You mentioned 20% exports. I think our numbers are 42% of all exports from Denmark to Japan is actually in the healthcare sector. So there's a lot going on in the Nordic countries in this area, but we also know there's a lot to plug into here in Japan. I wish you all a very, very fruitful summit. Thank you for your attention.
はい、どうもありがとうございました。お三方本当にありがとうございました。さあ、それでは早速プログラムに移りたいと思います。まずは基調講演、デジタルヘルスの進化と制約です。武田薬品工業株式会社武田デジタルアクセラレータージャパンヘッド大塚勝様、どうぞよろしくお願い申し上げます。
これは日本語でいいんですよね。
大丈夫です。
どうもこんにちは。 武田薬品工業の大塚と申します。今日はですね、製薬会社は薬を作って患者さんに届けるのが使命でしたが、それが大きく変わってきているというお話です。製薬会社は以前は患者さんのジャーニーの一部分である治療の部分で薬剤による貢献をしてきました。ですけども今は患者さんの、ペイシェントジャーニーの予防、診断、治療、そして予後というエンドトゥエンド、すべてのですね、ジャーニーの端から端までをサポートする必要があります。そのソリューションの一つとしてデジタルが非常に注目されてきています。患者さんのジャーニーを広くサポートするために、一つの方法として、薬剤から、サービスへの移行が行われています。この取り組みを時間とスコープに落としたバリューカーブがこのスライドです。今までは薬剤という製品に注力をしてきました。そしてここ数年は、薬剤とデジタルサービス、データの組み合わせのエンハンストサービス、エンハンストプロダクトというところに移行してきています。例えばこれは薬剤と服薬アプリ、あとこの後出てきますデジタル治療のように薬プラスデジタルというふうなソリューションが主な分野でした。ここまでは、製薬会社の持っている自社の薬剤の独占的な、排他的なソリューションです。ですけども最近はインテグレーティッドサービスというふうな分野に進出する企業も出てきました。これは今まで自社の製品、ソリューションに特化していた排他的なソリューションを他社に対してオープンにしていくというふうな取り組みです。これはエコシステム構築のための第一歩になります。競合企業にも公開し、アウトカム向上のためのソリューションを一緒に作っていくというようなものです。これを患者さん個別に、ソリューションをカスタマイズ提供するのがリビングサービスというふうな形で消化していきます。この分野は今まで IT 企業、Google や Facebook のようにユーザーごとに出す広告や情報を変えるというようなものをヘルスケアの分野でやっているというようなコンセプトになります。例えば、スタートアップでいうとフラットアイアンやですね、あと、ヨーロッパにありますマイシュガーのようなものはこのリビングサービスをもうすでに提供している企業になります。このようにデータとデジタルを使ってこのバリューカーブの右上の方に行くというのが製薬会社が今注力している分野ですけども、異業種ではもうすでにここがですね、メガファーマですね、大きな IT 企業のようなところがもうすでに大きくプレーをしている分野になります。治療の世界をちょっと見てみますと、このスライドの左側で見れますように、1900年代というのは、低分子のですね、治療薬が出てきました。そして、1990年代にはバイオ薬品、これは主にですね、オンコロジー、がんの治療に使われる、薬剤が出てきました。そして2000年代になりますと、細胞治療やですね、の分野がソリューションが出てきて、そして、2010年以降になりますと、今度ですね、デジタル治療という分野が作られてきました。例えばこの分野ではアメリカでは2017年にペアセラピューティックという会社が FDA 承認をされたデジタル治療を初めてですね、出しました。その後、クリックセラピューティックやいろいろなですね、デジタル治療の会社が、製薬会社、日本の製薬会社も含め一緒に、今まで治療方法がなかった分野、特に神経系のですね、分野で、治療のソリューションを作っている ということをすでにしています。このデジタル治療の分野になりますと、薬剤と同じように、有効性のテストや FDA 承認やですね、あと処方箋や保険償還、また、知財とか規制とか、あとGMP のようなですね、規制関係の製造方法のプロセスをすべてクリアしなければ作れないものになっています。このような分野で、製薬会社並びにヘルスケア会社が、活動していくためには、多くの外部企業と組む必要があります。特にスタートアップの皆さんとの、協業というのがとても重要になります。ここにあるのは、世界にありますデジタルヘルスのスタートアップのトップ150というふうなものになります。この中にはもちろんアメリカのスタートアップもありますけども、ヨーロッパのスタートアップ、特に北欧のスタートアップが多く含まれています。このようなですね、企業の戦略のですね、立案、例で言うと先ほどのスライドでありましたデジタルヘルスのような分野では、新たな分野に進出するためには注意する点が3つあります。まず1つ目は Where to play ということで、どの分野で活動するのか。有望な領域のどこで、そこにどういうふうに参入したらいいのか。そして、そこの分野での成功失敗事例というのを分析するというのがこの1番目になります。次に、what to play with, play at っていうふうに、その市場の理解というのをする必要があります。患者さんのジャーニーのどこで、どのような、サービスを患者さん、医療従事者に対して提供するのか。また、ヘルスケア産業の進んでいる、アメリカやですね、北欧の事例を見て、そしてそれを日本にどのようにですね、取り込めるかというのを分析するというのが2番目です。そして最後に、how to play、または how to win というふうにですね、どう戦うかになります。このようなですね、新たな分野では、自社だけでですね、活動するのは非常に難しいので、外部の企業さんとのですね、パートナーシップが重要になります。また、これらの活動からですね、どのようにですね、ビジネスモデルを作って、そのビジネスモデルを持続的にするか、また競合には簡単にコピーできないようなものにするかというのがですね、重要な取り組みになります。薬剤がですね、薬剤を超えた、いろんな活動がですね、増えるに従い、製薬会社はヘルスケアソリューションカンパニーになっていきます。そのような時には、社外のパートナー企業さん、特にスタートアップの皆さんとの協業というのがとても重要になります。この後ですね、登壇されるでしょう、ノルディックのですね、有望なスタートアップさんともですね、協業するというのも一つの大きな選択肢かもしれません。これで私のですね、プレゼンテーションは終わりにします。どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。大塚様の、基調講演でございました。どうもありがとうございました。それではここからは短いトークが3つ続きます。1つ目は北欧のイノベーションとスタートアップ企業についてです。ノルディックイノベーションハウス東京コミュニティダイレクター、ニコラス・カルボネン、スウェーデン大使館科学イノベーション参事官マイケル・ジェイコブのお二方でございます。ではお願いいたします。お願いいたします。
Right. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today. My name is Niklas Karonen. I'm Community Director at Nordic Innovation House Tokyo, one of the organizers for today's and this week's summit. We're a joint Nordic cooperation between the 5 countries to support Nordic startups and tech companies with their Japan expansion. And together with me here today, I have Mr. Mikael Jakob, the Science and Innovation Counselor at the Swedish Embassy in Tokyo. And we will spend a short 10 minutes to discuss why there are so many wonderful companies coming out of Nordics. What are we doing correct there? And what are some of the learnings that have taken place during the last 10 plus years that we have seen such an acceleration of the startup ecosystem in the Nordics? But before we get into that, maybe just a short brief introduction to yourself, Mikael, and also what kind of work do you do within innovation?
Thank you, Niklas. So my name is Michael Jacob. I am a Science and Innovation Counselor and also head of the Science and Innovation Office here at the Embassy. The Science and Innovation Office here is just one of 7 such offices that the Swedish government has chosen to have. That shows also the importance the Swedish government shows in linking up the research and innovation systems between Japan and Sweden. So at the OSI, Office of Science and Innovation, we work with, for instance, university collaborations, can be research institutes, we connect to the government level, agencies and so on, and also towards industry, research intensive industry. So this is an attempt to kind of tie together the whole research and innovation system and for mutual benefits, not only for Sweden or Japan, but possibly also other countries. And today, here we are addressing the Nordics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I would actually like to start by touching a little bit upon the welcoming remarks. We heard one key word, which was a unicorn. So unicorn companies are privately held startups companies with a valuation of more than $1 billion. And from the Nordic regions, we have more than 30 of those, which makes it per capita, right after Silicon Valley, the second highest in the world. So I would just like to ask from you, Mikael, what do you think are the main drivers behind this development that we're seeing in the Nordic countries?
It's a very complex topic, an issue, and there is not kind of one solution, but more to try to address some different system perspectives here. Before that, just like to mention also that the Nordic countries, Sweden is actually larger than Japan, but looking at the population, Sweden has the largest population of the Nordic countries, but still we're about 1/4 of Tokyo metropolitan area. Still, we have a lot of strong industry in very many different sectors. And we also have, as you mentioned, then a very vibrant and strong startup scene. And the latest count that we did at OSI was 36 Sweden-born unicorns from Sweden, and it seems to come more and more. But to address your question, of course, knowledge is something that is fundamental in also creating value, creating something new. The Nordic countries are among the top investors in R&D in the world, together with Japan. And this, of course, enables a lot. It enables better solutions, more thinking, and so on. From the Nordics, and not least from Sweden, we also have the Nobel Prize. Within now today's Health Summit and at the Karolinska Institute, there the laureate in medicine and physiology is elected or awarded. We also have strong research infrastructure. For instance, around that area, we have SciLife Lab that tries to bring together academia and industry in a good way. We also have the world's most powerful synchrotron right now at Lund University, which enables us to understand the really fundamental buildup of, for instance, pharmaceuticals. And we will soon be having the world's most powerful neutron spallation source that will be especially efficient also for this. So I'd say research base is one thing. We also focus a lot in, so that is kind of an enabler, something that tries to bring forward solutions is, for instance, a direction towards finding solutions to societal challenges. And then you move it from technology push to demand pull. And when you bring out solutions, then you, of course, can address possible global markets. The Nordic countries also rank among the really top countries on the SDG index. So just some reflections around this.
Yeah, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we only have 10 minutes, but I think we could go very deep into these topics. But as you mentioned, resource-intense countries, I mean, the Nordics do rank in terms of the R&D investment by GDP in one of the highest in Europe. And I think we have 16 wonderful companies showcasing later today to really show how do we turn that research into these solutions that tackle the societal challenges that you mentioned. We had a short chat earlier as well, and you also mentioned that one of the reasons for this healthy innovation ecosystem is that Nordics tend to be early adapters into these different times. And I think particularly with the COVID-19 crisis, especially in the fields of digital health and remote care, we have seen a lot of developments, and actually some of these companies have grown to become very global players in the field. But do you think that the fact that we are early adapters is also playing a role into this? And what would that mean for global companies who might be also interested in looking into the Nordic as a region?
I think this is very important, because if you would like to test new solutions, you of course need populations and people who are willing also, are curious and willing to try and test. So it's excellent possibilities, of course, to link up between foreign companies or foreign academia, so on, together with the Nordics to try to test new solutions. And another aspect, so we mentioned earlier then the kind of research, the more enabling, the more demand side, but then actually what happens in the interactions is extremely important. So the collaboration, so it can be, it was mentioned also collaboration between academia, industry. We have seen also public sector comes in much more, and we have government. But here the Nordic countries are very open for international collaboration for mutual benefit, to link academia or to link industry or mixtures of these.
Yeah, thank you very much. One of the things that when I talk to founders in the Nordics, something that they always mention is that the companies are born global, not only because of the demographics and the sizes of the regions, but also the existing connections, not just within the Nordic regions, but around the world, and the whole mindset that we will go global from day one onwards. And this seems to lower the struggles in terms of entering new markets. But also you mentioned a good keyword, which was openness. And maybe just to finish our talk today, I would like to talk a little bit about investments from Japan to the Nordics. We've seen just a few cases in the early 2000s rising to more than 20 cases per year in the last couple of years when it comes to investments from Japan to Nordic startups, even during the COVID-19 years. So hopefully we will see even more moving forward. But why do you think this openness is so important? What does it mean? Does it have also something to do with trust? This was also another keyword that we discussed earlier. And why now there seems to be this traction going on between our regions?
Openness and transparency is, of course, very important, and also the structure in the societies that we have. And I think the Nordics with Japan, we can have mutual trust in this. We are seeing now also how the world really rapidly has changed. We have seen also the last decades how certain parts of the world is changing. So these are, of course, very important aspects in how we collaborate and how we co-create together with others. To your question also, I'd like to add one aspect of the Nordic economies, and that is that we are, our populations are fairly small compared to Japan, and this means we have small home markets. So to be competitive, we need to export, we need to deliver solutions that are world-class. And there is no better way of doing that than building it on knowledge and linking up with the best in the rest of the world also.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was actually just looking at some statistics. I think exports from the Nordics to GDP hover between 35 to 55% all the way. So I think it is such an important part of the whole economic wealth of the region. But I think we have touched upon different topics here, and actually in the next talk we will discuss even further what does all this mean in the health innovation ecosystem, and I think topics such as public-private partnership, global networks, clusters will also be mentioned there as well. But with that, I would like to conclude our short talk. Thank you very much, Mikael, for sharing your thoughts, and once again, thank you everyone for joining the summit, and I will hand it over back to the MC. Thank you very much.
はい、どうもありがとうございました。それでは続きまして、北欧のヘルスケア業界について、フィンランド大使館上席商務官木村正弘、デンマーク王国大使館経済外交ヘルスケア担当講師参事官トーマス・ホイルンド・クリステンセン、駐日ノルウェー大使館通商技術部科学技術高等教育参事官工学博士アイリアンネ・エス・ベルグのお三方にお願いをしたいと思います。それではどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Konnichiwa. Yeah, it's working. Good afternoon, and also good morning to those of you following us from the Nordics. What a great day. What a pleasure to be here today at the very first health summit, Nordic Health Summit to Japan. I think it's so great. So I think, but first I think we will start introducing ourselves. Thomas, do you want to go first?
Yes, my name is Thomas Christensen. I'm Economic Diplomacy Advisor with a focus on life science at the Danish Embassy. And my job is to try to facilitate closer collaboration between healthcare authorities in Denmark and in Japan.
Yes, so that I'm Masahiro Kimura, who is working at the kind of the Embassy of Finland trade section as a kind of the senior advisor. So that I'm mainly in charge with the kind of the medical and the healthcare because of my background as a kind of the researcher of the autoimmune disease. So it is very pleased for me to talk with our kind of Nordic colleagues to talk about the kind of this healthcare issue. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm Mariana Sternberg. I'm Counselor of Science and Technology from the Norwegian Embassy. I came here early last year, and before that I came from a position in Norwegian academia working with digitalization in health. So in addition to business promotion, I also work with science and educational cooperation. And the topic of today is to give some thoughts and reflections around the Nordic healthcare system in general, and we'll also touch upon digitalization and innovation management in the Nordics. So I think what is better common ground and talking about for cooperation than talking about what is similar between our healthcare systems and what we share across the healthcare systems. So I think citizens of the Nordics and also in Japan, we have universal access to healthcare services. And we use these services with a very low cost. It's mainly financed through the tax systems. So, and the patients only pay a little part of it. In Norway, this is 15% of health expenditures. So most Japanese and Nordic people live long and healthy lives. And this is, of course, partly because we have advanced high quality healthcare systems in our regions. So with this safety net, we also place a lot of trust in our healthcare systems, and with this also comes high expectations. Expectations to how the services are delivered today, but also maybe higher expectations for the future. And I think that here also lies one of the challenges that we share when we all have to meet these high expectations with lesser hands to deliver these services. And I think Japan is a little bit ahead of us here on the aging population. But Thomas, do you have some thoughts about similarities and differences in between our healthcare systems?
Yes, at least I've noticed that, as you point out, there are many similar challenges if you compare the Nordics and Japan. And at the same time, still, our responses are not necessarily the same. So to give one example, in Denmark in recent years, we have focused a lot on decreasing the number of hospital beds. So the number of hospital beds is 2.5 per 1,000 citizens. whereas in Japan, as probably all of you know, it's quite high. It's 13. In Sweden, it's even lower than Denmark. It's the lowest in Europe. And in Finland, it's a little bit higher than in Denmark. And I think the reason we have done this is that we believe in the Nordics that we can save a lot of cost related to the healthcare system. And so far, I know there are some ambitions going down this road in Japan as well, but I think the plans are not quite as mature as they are in Denmark and the Nordics. Similarly, in Denmark, we have another related initiatives, which we call the Super Hospital Initiative, where we have built quite a high number of very large, at least for Denmark, hospitals, very specialized, in order to increase again the efficiency. And that is, in most people's opinion, a quite good idea. It's also a difficult idea to implement. It's difficult to keep within budget. But nevertheless, it's also an idea which is quite difficult to export, I believe, to a country like Japan, with a very different hospital structure. In Denmark and the Nordics, almost all hospitals are owned by the government. But then finally, I think within one area where I think Japan is also looking at the Nordics, and where I think the system we have in terms of family doctors and general practitioners that act as gatekeepers to ensure that only people who really need to see a specific expert within a given area is actually meeting with this expert. I think this is, the Japanese system is fantastic from a service point of view. It's very nice that you can just choose the hospital or the doctor yourself. I appreciate it myself. But at the same time, I think it's also a quite costly system. So I think there are maybe some opportunities for exchanging some experiences between our countries.
Yes, so my comment could be short. So everybody knows so that the universal healthcare system is very kind of the similar kind of structure between kind of Nordic countries and Japan. So that means so that we can share the kind of the same kind of the experience, similar experiences for the kind of the advantages and disadvantages for this kind of universal healthcare. To think about the kind of the cost for the kind of the universal healthcare, so that the Nordic countries kind of the cost is much lower than here in Japan. For example, in Finland, so that from 7 to 10% of the GDP is spending for the kind of the healthcare universal kind of the system, and that is kind of lower than the kind of the Japan. So that means so that the Nordic countries are run the kind of the more kind of the effective way of the kind of the universal care. So one of the kind of the other kind of the similarity is super aging society. So that the Japan is of course so one step kind of forward than the kind of the Nordic countries. But anyhow, that I think so that the Nordic countries are now doing a kind of the good play, playing good game compared than Japan. So that one of the key issue is the kind of the strategic kind of the technological development to solve the kind of some kind of the problems of the aging society. For example, for Finland, so that to solve the kind of the problem of the super aging society, so that we have the KATI program, KATI program, which aim to develop technology supporting smart aging and care at home. So that the final target goal is kind of the making the kind of the new innovation technology for the kind of the integrated service in the nation. And actually, so that one of the key core part is for this program is digital solution. So that's why that the digitalization is the kind of the really kind of the key issue for thinking about the future's kind of healthcare system.
Thank you. And you already moved over to the next,
Yes.
we wanted to touch upon the digitalization and also how do we manage this innovation. And I think Japan and the Nordics, we are all a little bit technology savvy, maybe in a little bit different ways, but we have a strong belief that digital technology will be key in developing and improving our healthcare services in the future, both in diagnostics and treatments, and in self-monitoring and health management, and also in cooperation and how we share information and how we make joint decision making. So Kimura-san, do you want to continue a little bit about and the Nordic take on digitalization and how do we actually manage these innovation processes?
Yes, sure. So that to talk about the kind of the digitalization and kind of the innovation management, so we need to think about the kind of the figure, just a rough figure of the kind of the health tech. So the health tech is one of the fastest growing high-tech segment of kind of the Finnish industry, with export by increasing of the 5.7% over the previous year. So the reason why that we can realize that this kind of the fast growing kind of the industry segment is the kind of the digitalization and the innovation management. So that those two parts should be the kind of keyword for this fast growing. So I was allowed to talk about digital data activities and the kind of the Finnish Act, so that the research, development, and the innovation within the kind of healthcare sector is made easier by the availability of the digital data. So in Finland, as well as in the other kind of Nordic countries, so that the electric health record, the coverage ratio is 100%. And and in Finland, so that we have the innovation-friendly legislation that enable the kind of the utilization of such kind of the digitalized data in R&D activities. So that the Finnish electric medical records are fully integrated with the kind of the clinical data or the kind of the elderly, for example, elderly care kind of the data, or the prescriptions-based patient reported outcome and social, even that the social data under the kind of the one system. And the other part is the kind of the Finnish Act on the secondary use of the health and social data that it was introduced in 2019 to facilitate the effective and the kind of the safe processing and access to the kind of digitalized kind of the healthcare information for developing data-driven health innovation. And it is a kind of the unique law that gives the kind of the really great advantage in international market. So that is the kind of the one issue that we need to think about, how to use the kind of the digitalized data and service itself. So I also kind of could touch upon the kind of the unique ecosystem and the private-public cooperation in connection with the kind of this kind of digitalized kind of the solution, so that Finland and its governmental innovation facilities concentrate on developing public and private partnership and creating other kind of beautiful ecosystems. For example, that in Finland, so that the spin-out company from the university or the startup companies are getting the kind of some supportive funding or the supportive service to develop the kind of the innovation and the kind of research activities, as well as the kind of development of the kind of business activities. And also that after that, so that the internationalization kind of the process, so that they can get also that the public or the private funding or the services to go into the international market. So that's the kind of the ecosystem, and the kind of the digitalized kind of the data, of course, must be used in those all the kind of the process. In addition, the kind of combination of the usage of the digital health data and the biobank activities in Finland has been creating more innovative kind of the innovation opportunities. Finnish biobank law was approved in 2012, and the law entered into force in 2013. Actually, this is the first biobank law in the world. And the combination of the kind of the data, digitalized whole digital data from the biobank and the kind of the other kind of the digitalized data can be really kind of utilized for the kind of the innovation and the research and development activities. So the compare than Japan, so that the Nordic countries are one step forward, the kind of how to use the kind of digitalized kind of the technology itself, and it's the kind of the one part that we can cooperate with the Japanese private sectors and Japanese governmental sectors.
Thomas, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can say a few words about the situation in Denmark. In Denmark, we are happy that we tend to be number one in, I think, the most important ranking in terms of digitalization in the world, the one made by the UN. It has been the case the last few years, and of course, we are waiting to see if we will continue to be number one. But within healthcare, we started very early as 1968. I think we started to give all babies in Denmark their own individual number. So that's very similar to what is now the My number in Japan. And then we have invested very heavily in digitalization within healthcare in the following years. So when COVID-19 broke out, I think Denmark had a quite good starting point. All the necessary technology was in place, so we didn't really have to spend a lot of months to develop new systems. We could basically build upon the existing systems in order to ensure that people could book time for testing or for vaccine, to get also the test results, and also to get the vaccine itself. So that has given us a very good starting point for handling the pandemic. And then I think also in general, we have some very good solutions. We have an Ehealth Portal. It's called sundhed.dk. I think we need a better name in English, but it's the most widely used Ehealth Portal in Europe. 1.8 million people use it in Denmark every month. And that's both doctors, but also patients. And then you can access all kinds of health data, including also vaccinations and test results and medication and so on. And that's, of course, very useful in order to increase patient safety. It's also just very practical and nice for citizens, I think. So I think in the Nordics, we are very good at creating these solutions.
Yeah, I think that's things that we share across our countries in the whole region. So, but I want to add a little thing. I think it's been touched upon, the clusters and the ecosystems that we build around the companies. And I think there's not only the university hospitals or the big, large pharma companies that do the innovation. It's also been high focus on building distributed innovation capacity in our countries and in our region. And this is, I mean, digital technology is so tightly woven together with how the service is delivered. So this is why it's been mentioned to empower the patients and also empower the health personnel, and I think that is core to co-creation and also innovation in the system at large. So I think this is very important for us, that we have a lot of innovation in the municipality, as we have a lot of startups, and sometimes it's also maybe an individual caregiver that innovate and find a new solution for their family member. So. Yes, so I think that is a distributed approach to innovation management that creates a rich base for solutions and also startups in the region. So yes, I think we are moving to the closing here. So I think I'll ask a last important question, and I hope you can answer it quickly with a few sentences. But why should the Nordics and Japan work more together? Kimura-san.
It's the kind of really kind of difficult question, but anyhow, that today, so that we all kind of talk about the kind of some similarity and the kind of between the kind of the Nordics and Japan, and we have the kind of the same kind of the problems or the similar problems in the society. And actually, so that we mean that in the kind of the Finnish embassy, we called the kind of the Japan as a kind of the not targeted country for the kind of the export, so that we usually call the kind of Japan as a kind of a strategic partnership between kind of Finland and Japan. So I think so that the other kind of Nordic countries has the kind of the similar kind of the attitude. Because so that the Japanese industrial kind of the sector has also the kind of technological kind of competitiveness for that. So that's why that the actually so that the Finland-Japan Joint Committee meeting on cooperation in science and technology in the meeting, so that Finnish governmental kind of the sectors, including the Business Finland, proposed to Japan that the several potential policy, for example, that the innovation and the research cooperation activities in health data sharing, and the personalized health and technology-assisted living for elderly. So that's why that the kind of this is a quite natural kind of the relation between kind of the Nordic and the kind of Japan. So I feel so.
Thomas, quick go on this.
Super fast. I think a lot is already going on. We have seen quite a number of Japanese acquisitions and investments in Danish startups. Just a few months ago, Canon bought an X-ray company in Denmark. We see a lot of Japanese pharmaceutical companies doing research with the Danish universities and Danish hospitals, like Daiichi Sankyo, to mention an example. And then also recently we have seen, or at least in recent years, different contract manufacturing companies like Fujifilm and AGC doing very large takeovers in Denmark, and it doesn't stop with that. We can see they are actually expanding very aggressively. So that is very positive, and also the opposite way, Danish companies like Novo Nordisk have close collaboration and investments in Japanese startups, and I think that's very beneficial. So I think more of this. I think it's already going very well, but there are a lot of possibilities for the future as well.
Yes, I was also going to touch into the, Norway, the healthcare sector is the one that's drawing most investments of the onshore sectors in Norway. And I know that many Japanese companies are present in the Nordics or follow what the developments in the Nordics on a regular basis. So, and I think the reason for this is many of the ones that we have touched upon today. So I hope that you use the opportunity today, because this health summit is an opportunity to meet up on a broader scale than only the big ones that have capacity to be in the Nordics. So thank you, Thomas and Kimura-san, for sharing your insights and reflections on the Nordics. And to all companies, we want to wish you good luck with your speed dating and matchmaking in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you.
はい、どうもありがとうございました。もう話し足りないこと、聞き足りないことだらけでございますが、まだ始まったばかりでございますのでね、どうぞ皆様、後ほど交流をしていただければと思います。ありがとうございました。さあ、それでは続きましてですが、北欧への投資と協業の傾向について、インドストリー・フォンデン社長、ペーテル・ウォルペルート様より、トークをお願いしたいと思います。こちらはオンラインでのご参加ということになりますので、どうぞこちらを皆様ご覧くださいませ。お願いいたします。つながっているかしら。ペーテルさん。つながってますでしょうか。
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
はい、大丈夫そうですね。はい、それではペテル様、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, okay.
Perfect. Let's see if I can share my screen also.
顔は大丈夫？So your videos.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon in Tokyo. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, your screen is clear, but your face.
Okay.
Video, please on. Video on. Movie
okay,
on.
But the video is on. But you can see the slides.
Yes, okay.
Okay, I see. So good afternoon, everyone. This is Peter Wolpert. I'm the CEO of Industrifonden, a venture capital fund based in Stockholm. And very briefly about Industrifonden, we're Sweden's national venture capital fund, founded already in 1979, so we have more than 40 years of experience. We're managing about $500 million in assets, and we invest in radical innovations that can disrupt industries and indications. We focus on life science, on deep tech and transformative tech. So a large part of what we're doing is within life science. What's special about Industrifonden is that we are an evergreen structure. So we have staying power and we can be long-term with the companies that we invest in. We're a stable and secure partner, and we also have a strong network, both locally and internationally. So we often act as a local lead, and we have also the flexibility to co-lead and participate. So we love to create strong syndicates with both Nordic and international investors. Personally, most of my experience comes from as a CEO within the pharma industry. And during those years, I also had the benefit of working together with some Japanese companies, both within the OTC space, but also with Taisho Pharmaceutical for an RX opportunity within dermatology. So personally, I must say that I appreciate a lot to work with Japanese companies and investors, and would welcome investors that are interested in the Nordics to reach out to us. Currently, we have about 50 portfolio companies, and typically first round investment is between $2 and $5 million. And we have about 15 investment professionals in the team. So let me give you an overview of the Nordic life science landscape from a helicopter perspective. First of all, I think a good place to start is that we have a strong and vibrant life science industry. There's a long tradition of development in pharma, biotech, medtech, and health tech. And many industry leaders originate from the region, and primarily in Sweden and in Denmark. There are a number, of course, very well-known names that you see on the right-hand side, and most of them very active today and are leaders within their niches. But we actually also benefit from previous companies like Pharmacia that was acquired by Pfizer, but generated a large pool of big pharma experienced talents and executives that are now being active in more entrepreneurial settings. So we can often staff an early life science company with very experienced people. In addition, there is medical science at the top level in all the Nordic countries, and of course, Karolinska, being the host of the Nobel Prize, is one of the epicenters in the Nordics. We have also over the years created a very sophisticated academia to business ecosystem with incubators and seed investors, and also additional investors coming in at later stages. I think one key metric could be for innovation is the number of biotech patents per capita. And the Nordics is very successful in terms of biotech patents. We're about twice the EU average, and very successful also in a global comparison. So we see a large level of innovation and activity when it comes to novel IP and novel concepts. Financially, it's a little bit different in the different countries, but in general, we can say that Nordic life science is financed both by venture capital in early stages, but also as well as the public market. And Sweden is actually an exception there, with a very active public market also for early stage life science ventures. So in total, over the past 5 years, venture capital raised about 4 billion euros. And from the public markets, about 7 billion euros were raised into about 200 life science companies in total. Looking at the VC funding a little bit more in detail, it was a little bit slower about 10 years ago. But when you look at the past 5 years, the activity level has increased, and the growth is about almost 40% over the past 5 years, and very active in the last 2 years. And of course, all of these figures are before the war in Ukraine, and we see a natural pause right now due to the hesitance on the market situation. But we do see good activity level when it comes to the VCs. And over the past 2 years or so, we also had 3 new fund managers entering the Nordic markets. And you see some of the names that are very active in the Nordic arena, including, of course, Industry Fund. If we look at the different countries, we see that Sweden and Denmark attracted the majority of the funding. And of course, that comes from the heritage with large pharma companies and biotech companies that have developed in these countries. And in particular, Denmark is leading when it comes to therapeutics, while Sweden is taking the lead when it comes to medtech and health tech. And it's about even split, although a little bit more than raised to medtech and health tech over this period. Moving into the public market, as I mentioned, Sweden stands out there internationally. The public market in Sweden, and in particular Nasdaq Nordic or Nasdaq in Stockholm, has provided very significant and growing financing of life science. So you can see on the numbers that there are significant numbers, and in particular the past 2 years. And of course, there's a slightly lower activity level in the beginning of 2022, but we do see deals coming through also in this market climate. Last week, a new diagnostic company, for example, raised 400 million Swedish or $40 million. And there are a number of transactions that are happening and a number of rights issues and directed issues also for the existing companies. So Nasdaq Stockholm has really become a hub for Nordic life science, and we also see Danish companies, we see international companies that want to list in Stockholm. There are about 200 companies listed in our industry, and there are a number of junior lists, but of course also the regulated market where we see many companies listing. And the IPO market has actually been available also to microcaps. So when there were a little bit fewer venture capital funds active in the Nordics, the public market actually helped supporting some of that financing. And we do have a large pool of retail investors that are attracted by high-risk ventures. Making one international comparison with the UK, the life science IPOs in Sweden actually raised significantly more capital than in the UK over the past 5 years. And this is, of course, only companies that decided to list in these markets. We have many UK and as well as Nordic companies that listed in the US, for example, during this period, and that is not included into these numbers. So let me conclude my presentation that I want to provide a warm welcome to Japanese partners, both from the pharma industry and within the investor community. We have a vibrant and innovative life science ecosystem in the Nordics. There's a high activity level in both private and public financing. And we prefer to syndicate our investments, and we would love to invite Japanese investors, both corporate ventures and venture capital or other type of investors, to join us in the work to develop the industry within the Nordics. There is tremendous opportunity here, and we do see that the international syndicates can bring important know-how also of the Japanese market, which is significant, of course, for most of these ventures. And therefore, it would bring a lot of value to work collaboratively on these ventures. And just wanted to, as a reminder at the end, please contact us at Industry Fonden. We're very interested to develop relationships with Japanese companies, and we're a stable local lead with a long-term perspective. So thank you very much for inviting me to present today, and I'd be happy to continue the dialogue over email or setting up separate meetings. Thank you so much.
はい、どうもありがとうございました。ありがとうございました。 さて皆様いかがでしたでしょうか。第1部、ここでコーヒーブレイクとしたいと思います。コーヒーブレイクはここオーディトリアムを出たすぐの展示ホールの方で行いますね。コーヒーは展示ホールのキッチンカウンターよりご提供させていただきます。スウェーデンのお菓子もございますので、どうぞコーヒーとご一緒にお召し上がりいただければと思います。なお、テラスもお使いいただけますので、お願いいたします。お化粧室は出て、その展示ホールの先、左側にございますので、お願いいたします。お戻りのお時間ですが、お声掛けいたしますが、どうしましょう。10分ほどですかね。15分 ?4 時15分で。4時15分でよろしいでしょうか。ちょっと時間短いですけれども、どうぞご移動くださいませ。お願いいたします。4時20分のお戻りということでお願いいたします。お願いいたします。出られましてすぐのところ展示ホールと、左側にテラスもございますのでね、こちらでコーヒーをお召し上がりいただくこともできますし、名刺の交換などもしていただければと思います。袋に4種類のクッキーが入っておりますので、どうぞお召し上がりください。ラズベリーの洞窟、スウェーデンらしいラズベリーのジャムが彩りを与えてくれるホロホロ食感のクッキー、またクリングロール、宗教的シンボルに由来した独特な形のスウェーデンの絵本にも描かれるクッキーなどがございます。スウェーデンのクッキーとそれからコーヒーでどうぞ交流を深めていただければと思います。それでは第2部に移らせていただきたいと思います。第2部は2つのパネルディスカッションの構成となっております。早速始めてまいりたいと思います。まずは日本企業による北欧企業への投資や協業の事例紹介について、グローバルブレイン株式会社インベストグループパートナー森口隆様、そしてファシリテーターはスウェーデン大使館商務部商務官、アグヌース・ブロンデルにお願いしたいと思います。それでは前の方にお願いいたします。続いては日本語でのディスカッションとなりますのでお願いいたします。はい、ではお願いいたします。
皆さんありがとうございます。今日皆さんの前にThe Global Brain の森口さんと一緒にゆっくり会話できるのは非常に嬉しいです。なぜなら嬉しいのは今日の参加の日本企業さんの中でまだ北欧との企業さんとのコラボレーション、それから北欧の企業の投資の経験していない方が多いと思っていますので、だからそういう今日は経験者から共有していただくことになりましたので、グローバルブレインの森口さんが昨年でスウェーデンのフローニューロサイエンスのとても面白いスウェーデンの企業さんに投資したということで、それのについて経験を共有していただくことになりましたので、私はそこでファシリテーターとしてちょっと簡単な質問をさせていただきます。今日は本当にありがとうございます。森口さん。
よろしくお願いします。
まずはグローバルブレインは知らない方が多いと思っていますので、まずは1分程度で会社紹介していただけますか。
わかりました。ちょっと1分。はい。グローバルブレインはですね、独立系のベンチャーキャピタルでして、25年ぐらいですかねの歴史がある老舗の VC の一つです。で、資産運用総額が1700億を超えてまして、非常に大きな金額を運用させていただいてます。で、最近はですね、特にディープテックを中心に投資してます。で、我々は本当に日本では稀なんですけど、グローバルに投資してまして、オフィスもですね、計8カ所ぐらい、世界中にありまして、ベイエリアとか、ボストン、UK、ドイツ、アジアにもいろいろございますと。で、あと我々にユニークなところだと、90名ぐらい、メンバーいるんですけども、その半数がハンズオン。 のメンバーでして、我々投資をした上で、ハンズオンしてエグジットまで徹底的に支援するという形で、投資活動をさせていただいています。で、私はその中でですね、ライフサイエンスとかバイオテックの責任者をやっている森口と言います。よろしくお願いいたします。
ありがとうございます。それで早速ですけれども、詳しい話に入らせていただきますと思っています。昨年のバイオサイエンスへの投資のについての話ですけれども、最初その企業を見つかってから実際投資する前の流れのについてちょっと教えていただけますか。例えばその信頼感の話は先ほど出てたんですけれども、信頼感はどうやってできたんですか。それからプロセスとしてはスムーズでしたかどうかの質問ですけれども。
はい、ありがとうございます。我々昨年フローニューロサイエンスというスウェーデンの会社に投資しておりまして、こちらデジタルセラピューティクスとニューロモジュレーションのセットによったソリューションを作っている会社になりますと。で、もともと我々デジタルセラピューティクスに興味があったので、いろいろ見てたんですけど、やっぱり CBT、認知行動療法だけだと結構限定的な効果だなっていうのもあったので、やはりそこに何か治療行為がセットになっているようなソリューションがいいなというので、いろいろリサーチしてリストアップしていた一社になりますと。で、ここにどうアプローチするのか、いろんなアプローチの方法あるんですけど、その中でたまたま、スウェーデン大使館ビジネススウェーデンのマグヌスさんとあと安田さん、あちらにいらっしゃいますけども、にお会いしてですね、少し相談したところ、すぐに動いていただいて、次の週ですかね、にはもうミーティングをセットいただくというぐらい迅速に、しかもタダで、無償でやっていただくというところでですね、そのスピード感と信頼関係、多分現地の信頼関係がすごかったというところもありまして、我々無事に面談を進ませて、うまく投資につながっていったというところがありますので、本当にお二人のおかげかなというところでございます。
ありがとうございます。褒めることばっかりちょっと恥ずかしいですけれども、私より安田のおかげだと思いますけれども、コロナの中だったと思うんですけれども、そのコロナの中で、オンライン会議で、まず信頼感はちゃんとできたんですか。どういう感じですか。
そうですね。もともとやはりコロナの中だと我々投資もですね、直接会わない、訪問できない環境下で投資をしていくというところで、VC によってもですね、ちょっと投資を控えるところもあったんですが、我々はむしろアクティブに今はチャンスだというところで投資活動を強化してました。で、面談、ミーティングだけなので、オンライン上なので、やはり信頼関係はなかなか作りにくいところあるんですけど、そこは安田さんにも入っていただき、そもそも最初に会った時からですね、スウェーデン側のいろんな関係者も交えて面談をしてますので、やはり向こう側も我々がですね、そういう関係者の知り合いだというところもあって、スタートのやっぱり信頼関係を築くスタートラインがそもそも高かったかなという気がしますので、他の US とかヨーロッパの企業よりもなんか早くですね、お互い本音で話できるような環境になっていったなと、ここも繰り返しですけど、皆さんお二人のおかげかなというところでございます。
ありがとうございます。先ほどちょっと北欧以外の国投資との比較の話ができたんですけれども、例えば日本国内のスタートアップの投資と同じような流れですか。それからもし例えばアメリカの会社への投資を経験した場合は、何か違ってたんですかね。
結論としてはですね、ほとんど違いはないかなと。で、むしろ非財務情報に関しては結構情報を取りやすいなという印象はございました。で、そこはやはりスウェーデンの方々の国民性のところで、やはりすごい透明性が高くて、情報共有を本当に慣れているといいますか、それが基本になっているような、そういうスタンスをすごい見受けてまして、そこもあってですね、情報はすごい取りやすかったです。それは日本でも US でもですね、あまり情報をいろいろ聞きすぎたらですね、それ以上出せないとか、時間がかかるところあるんですけど、そういうのはなかったので、やはりそこはスウェーデン、特に北欧の方々で、個人のデータを公的管理されているっていうところもあって、やはり情報の持ち方であったりとか、共有の仕方みたいなところはですね、何か国民性に通じているのかなというところはあります。ただ、違いとしてはスウェーデン語での情報も結構 りましたので、そこは少しその情報を訳すのに時間がかかったりとか、真面目で丁寧な国民性だからこそ質問に対してすごい時間がかかって帰ってくるみたいなところもあったので、そこはそういうところもあるんですが、非常にやりやすかったかなというふうな感想を持っています。
ありがとうございます。それでは今日など、明日からでもそうですけれども、北欧との日本の提携と協業を増やす会で、そこの中で日本企業で北欧の企業さんとのコラボレーションなど投資を検討している企業さんに何かアドバイスがありますか？
我々から皆様に僭越、少し言えることとしては、やはりなんていうんですかね、非常に投資しやすい環境下にありますし、技術的な情報、基礎レベルも高いなという気がしてます。それは先ほど、お話ししてたような、国民の登録台帳があって、それぞれ国民の方々データがレジストリされているというところもあってですね、非常にそれ医療データも含めて、そういうのが公的管理されて利用できるアクセスしやすい環境下にあるので、そこは非常にコホート研究とかですね、やはり優位性があるなというふうには見ているので、そういう基礎的なレベルの高いスタートアップさんが結構いらっしゃるというところがあるので、我々は引き続き北欧のスタートアップを見ていくというところはあります。なので、我々がアドバイスというわけじゃないんですけども、少しでも興味があれば、我々でもいいですし、スタートアップさんを見ていただければいいのかなと、面白い企業さんいっぱいいるなというふうには思っています。
ありがとうございます。それではまだまだ北欧の企業さんのスタートアップへの投資は検討されますか？
そうですね、はい。もう今の流れでしませんとは言えないところもありますし、
そうなんですよね。
そうですね。ここに来てしませんとも言えないですし、そこはもちろんやらせていただきますし、特に先ほど言ってたようなヘルスケア系のそこはやはり優位性があるというふうに思ってますので、私の担当しているバイオヘルステック系のスタートアップはですね、これからも皆様のお力を借りてどんどん投資活動をしていきたいというふうに思ってます。
それは本当にありがとうございます。貴重な話を皆さんの前にいただきたいと本当にありがとうございます。そうですね。また明日と明後日の商談会でぜひ頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
それではありがとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。大変貴重なお話をいただきました。ありがとうございます。続きまして2つ目のディスカッションに移りたいと思います。世界に貢献する北欧と日本のヘルスケア分野におけるイノベーションについて、アストラゼネカ株式会社イノベーションパートナーシップ &I2JP ダイレクター工学博士劉玲様、公益財団法人大阪産業局イノベーション推進部プロジェクトリーダー石飛恵様、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
皆さんこんにちは。劉でございます。
こんにちは、石飛でございます。
アストラゼネカの劉でございます。今日はですね、日本語でこのセッションをやらせていただきます。当初はですね、ちょっともう画面出ちゃってますけど、漫才っていうのをやりましょうって、漫才って結構英語にするの大変で、コメディパフォーマンスバイアデュオって今調べたんですけど、なんかちょっと面白くして笑いを取ったろうかなとは思ってますが、ただ笑いだけじゃなくて、一つ私がプライベート側のエコシステムっていうところを今ドライブしてます。で、石飛さんのところが、パブリック、セミパブリックなエコシステムをやってるというところなので、その紹介となぜ我々が一緒に今コラボレーションしているのかを後半ちょっと掛け合いながらご説明します。でまず私の方からですね、今イノベーションインフュージョンジャパンのという名前のですね、オープンイノベーションネットワークのヘッドをやっております。ヘッドと言いつつ2人チームなので超こじんまりなチームでやっております。ただ一生懸命高速回転で皆さんにサポートをさせてスタートアップの皆さんをはじめサポートさせていただいているところです。スライド次お願いします。でこちらはアストラゼネカジャパンのプログラムでして、どうして我々こんなことをやってますかっていうところですけれども、武田のお疲れ様の話と結構似ています。ペーシェントセントリシティをしっかり実現していきましょうと。でペーシェントジャーニーの全てに関わっていきましょうと。でこれが我々の今のビジョンですけれども、2025年までにペーシェント の人生をイノベーションを通じて変えるパイオニアになりましょうと。こういったことを抱えてやっておりますもんで、先ほどのプレゼント結構一緒で、じゃあそれをやっていく上には、どんなノウハウが必要なの、エクスパティーズ必要なのってなってみたら、ペイシェントジャーニーの上流と下流、要は薬以外のところでは、実は自分たちで中で持っているものはとても限定的でした。なので、オープンイノベーションでいきましょう。持っている人とコラボレーションしましょう。パートナーを集めましょう。というようなアプローチで我々は活動を今しているところです。次のスライドお願いします。そんなこんなでIce.jp というネットワークを立ち上げて、まだ活動して1年半というようなところです。よちよち歩きの7社団体から始めました。我々のローンチングパートナーがここにいらっしゃるというところですね。で、その活動の中でパートナーさんを集めてですね、何をやっていくかというと、やっぱりペイシェントセントリシティを実現していくというのが1つ目ですね。で、2つ目が HCP の皆さんにも貢献するアドバリューのソリューションを作っていきましょうということを今やっております。で、3番目、4番目。3番目がもうダイレクトに、スタートアップのインキュベーションです。新しい技術はスタートアップから生まれますので、彼らをしっかり伴走して育てていきましょう。みたいなことをやっております。で、4番目、これはちょっと大きい話題ではありますが、午前中のセッション、コーヒーブレイク前のセッションとも絡んでいます。日本って、すごくヘルスケアアクセスがいいんですけれども、すごく効率が良くないと私も思っています。なぜなら、まだ、デンカルを持っていない GP が多分3割強います。で、データがすべてフラグメント化されています。コネクテッドされていません。で、ヘルスケアのアクセスが北欧と非常に似ているところはいいんですけど、生産性が低いなっていうのがかなり大きいギャップじゃないかなと思っています。そういった意味で4番目に大きい課題を書いています。ソーシャル、ローカルなヘルスケアシステムを最適化しましょうと。で、それってアストラゼネカ1社では絶対にできない話なので、ここの意味でもエコシステムを作って仲間と一緒に事例を作って声を上げて政策を変えていくと。そういったところも時間はかかりますが、やっていきたいというふうに考えております。というか、チャレンジしています。次のスライドお願いします。ここはもうちょっとショーケースになってます。ローンチングパートナーが7社団体で始まって、今 1.5 年経っているところですけれども、もうすぐ200社団体に迫る勢いになっています。これはやっぱり我々が掲げる先ほどの4つのチャレンジと一緒にやっていくこのパッションですね、にこうしてくれる仲間がどんどん増えてるなと、これはすごくいいことです。今、日々、この仲間の中で、ビジネスマッチングが起きていたり、新しいソリューションが生まれていったりっていうようなところが起きています。そこには、必ずしもアストラゼネカが関わっているわけではなくて、我々がただの触媒になっている、キャタリストになっている場合もあります。もうおつなぎしてどうぞというようなこともやっていますので、まさしく本当に我々も投資しながら、本当にオープンイノベーションを推進しているというようなところをやっております。で、次のスライドお願いします。1枚にまとまりきらなくなったので、今2枚に分けてますけれども、パブリック、セミパブリックのところに、イノベーション、ノルディックイノベーションハウスもいらっしゃいますし、OIH さんもいらっしゃるので、今こうやってパブリック、セミパブリック、あるいは地方自治体、ヘルスケアデリバリー、そういったいろんな人を巻き込んでですね、テストフィールドを準備しながら、スタートアップさんと新しい、POC をやったり、フィジビリティスタディをやったりしております。次お願いします。で、Ice.jp というハブは日本にあるアストラゼネカジャパンのプログラムですけれども、一応こういった活動をグローバル全体でやっています。なので、それを一つ横串のネットワークとして、A キャタリストネットワークというふうに我々呼称してますけれども、共通したビジネスチャレンジ、あるいは疾患のチャレンジを掲げて、同じような探索をローカルでやって、で、ベストプラクティクスをシェアして、で、このネットワークを使って、そのソリューションをレバレッジかけて、世界中のマーケットインを支援していくっていうようなところをやっています。とはいえ、この活動、まだ始めて2年も経っていませんので、実績のところまだそんなに出ていないです。私から他のハブに紹介したスタートアップはまだ両手の数を超えていないですし、今、日本国内に入ってきていただいて、日本のマーケットインを支援しているスタートアップさんの数もまだそれぐらいの桁です。ただ、もっともっと増やしていきたい。ゆえに、今日ここに座らせていただいて、こんなんやってます、他の皆さんのスタートアップの皆さん、おいでっていうことを今、メッセージとしてお出ししておるようなところです。次のスライドお願いします。で、ちょっとなんで UK の話持ってくんねんって話ですけれども、アストラゼネカは、アストラとゼネカがマージして一つになりまして、UK はお父ちゃん、スウェーデンはお母ちゃんって我々いつも社内でも言っておりまして、UK の商務部、同じようなスキームで今一緒に動かせていただいてまして、テックネーションっていうところと、今コラボレーションさせていただいて、もっとこれを加速させるために MOU を締結したりしました。ここは去年の活動の流れですけれども、100社から始まってスクリーニングをして、実際ディスカッションさせてもらって、5社程度今、我々のネットワークに入ってもらってます。 我々のネットワークに入っていただければ、我々のネットワークにいる他のパートナーさんとのビジネスマッチング、ディスカッションっていうのは、我々経由して設定できますし、今この中で1社ですね、ちょっと社名は申し上げられないんですけれども、日本の PMDA プロセスを一緒に伴走している会社さんがいます。日本の PMDA の医療機器プロセスを、我々のパートナーと我々が一緒に伴走していますと。願わくば、これが今年の早々の時期に、登録第1号を目指しているようなところです。こういったところを事例として出しながら、ノルディックのパートナーの皆さんともこういった面的でのお付き合いをぜひやっていきたいなと。なので、今日のネットワーキングも非常に楽しみにしておりますし、明日、明後日のビジネスマッチング、もう予定がびっちり入ってますけれども、めちゃくちゃ楽しみにしております。本当にありがとうございます。じゃあ、バトンタッチします。
はい、ありがとうございます。今、アストラゼネカさんからたくさんご紹介いただいて、私たちも大阪イノベーションハブですね、大阪の方で、アストラゼネカさんの本社のもう隣のビルで、やっております。じゃあ、次のスライドお願いいたします。大阪イノベーションハブの方ですね、大阪市の施設となっておりまして、もう、私たちのポイントというと、次のスライドお願いいたします。はい。もう大阪イノベーションハブというだけにですね、スタートアップ支援を中心に活動しているんですけれども、スタートアップの方々を、アストラゼネカさんの i2.jp とも同じようにですね、もうパートナーさんと、皆さんと一緒にですね、アクセラレーターさんとか、インベスターの方々、こういった方々をおつなぎする役割をしております。はい、次のスライドお願いいたします。ということでですね、本当に私たちたくさんのパートナーさん、アストラゼネカさん、イノベーションハウス、ノルディックイノベーションハウス東京さんで、去年ですね、ちょうどこのもう本当にパートナー様に支えられて私たち活動してるんですけれども、一緒にですね、このようにパートナーさん同士で、大企業さん、あとはスタートアップさんにですね、いろんな事例だとかこういった活動をしてるっていうのを一緒にイベントなどを通して情報発信をしていったりしております。ありがとうございました。去年は今年もこのように、はい、ご一緒できて幸いです。じゃあ次のスライドお願いいたします。はい。で、こちらですね、アストラゼネカさんは私たちの本当に強いパートナーさんでですね、本当にご近所で一緒にいろんなことをさせていただいてるんですけれども、ちょっと近日ですね、インタビューの方もさせていただいておりまして、こちらでスタートアップとの実際の協業事例だとか、私たちのような行政と一緒にどのように取り組みをしているかっていうのを書いている記事となっております。皆さんまたぜひ読んでみてください。はい、次のスライドお願いします。ということでですね、グローバルスタートアップエコシステム拠点都市ということで、いきなりちょっと話題変わりますけれども、はい、アストラゼネカさんもこちらの、はい、
そうですね、4箇所選ばれてて、その中に京阪神が入っているというところで、我々も会社のヘッドクォーターが大阪というところですので、これからがより一層そこでドライブをかけていきたいなというふうに考えているようなところです。
はい、じゃあ次のスライドお願いいたします。はい。で、なんといってでもですね、万博が2025年、はい、やってまいります。でですね、これテーマとしてはですね、皆さんご存知の通り、もうヘルスケア、命輝く、未来社会のデザインということで、もう実証実験都市大阪ということでですね、もう本当に製薬会社さんもたくさんございますし、何かここでですね、一緒に仕掛けていきたいなと、はい、パートナーさんたちといつも言ってるんですけれども、ぜひですね、ノルディックの、海外のスタートアップの皆様も、ぜひ大阪エキスポを目指してですね、私たちにコンタクトいただきましたら何かできますでしょうか？
きっとできます。はい、もう3年切ってますけれども、いろんな実証実験を持ち込む場にはすごくいい場っていうふうに、自分たち言うのも変なんですけれども、なぜかというと、その前の段階でですね、今大阪がスーパーシティというものに選ばれています。これはキャビネットオフィスのプロジェクトでして、スーパーシティに選ばれると、例えばデータの利用とかに関してはある程度規制が緩和されています。なので他の自治体ではできない大阪だからではならではできるようなことがこれから増えていきます。そしてこのスーパーシティの大きな2つのテーマが、1つがヘルスケア、もう1つはモビリティですけれども、ヘルスケアが1つ大きいテーマになっていますので、非常に今回の我々の目的にも合っていますし、ここを何かしらのPOCの場に使うのは私は最適だと思ってますし、私もここでなんか仕掛けていきたいなと、大市さんと一緒に仕掛けていきたいなというふうに考えております。
はい、本当に大阪はですね、 なんていうんですかね、英語でレッツトライというか、やってみなはれ精神っていうふうに言われてまして、やってみないとわからないというところで、何でもウェルカムというところもありますので、アストラゼネカさんをはじめですね、こういったノルディックの、在日の大使館さん等も、近くにいらっしゃいますので、ぜひ、海外のスタートアップの皆様、コンタクトの方していただきましたら、何かお手伝いができると思いますので、はい、引き続きよろしくお願いいたします。じゃあ次のスライドお願いいたします。はい。ということでですね、皆さんと一緒に何かやっていきたいということで、実際に本当に具体的な実績をたくさん生まれる街、大阪・関西というのが本当にエコシステムのユニーク性かなと思っておりますので、はい、引き続きですね、皆様、はい。
まだ少し時間がある
あります。はい。
3分もあるっていうところなので、そうですね。今日少し話題が広がっているんですけれども、官側、パブリック側のエコシステムで、そこに入るとスタートアップをコンタクトすると得られるいろんな支援サービスがあります。日本のマーケットに入ってくるための支援サービス、あとオフィスのご案内、VC のご紹介、我々の大企業への引き合いみたいなことは大阪イノベーションハブさんがサービスとしてスタートアップさんに対して提供していますし、ほぼ同じような機能は我々も持っています。我々はどちらかというともっと大企業とのミートアップ、ローカルのスタートアップとのミートアップ、そこでのコラボレーションの推進、プロジェクト化の推進みたいなところを主な役割にしています。完全にミーシーには切れてないです。有機的につながっています。そういった意味では他社の宣伝でもありますけれども、湘南アイパークもすごくいい場所だと思ってまして、フィジカルスペースもありますし、そこにもエコシステムと呼ばれるような全ての機能が揃っていますので、日本ってそういったものが今どんどんできていますので、ノルディックのスタートアップの皆さんにはぜひぜひ利用していただいてですね、入ってきていただいて、日本のマーケットって海外に比べるとまず言語の障壁があります。PMDA のウェブサイトよくわかりませんと、そういったところがよく言われる話ではあります。ただそれを苦笑いしてだよねっていう話ではなくて、我々にコンタクトいただければ、例えば PMDA のプロセスを専門とするコンサルティングファームだってあります。それをローカルの皆さんとおつなぎするだけで一気に背中押しっていうか加速していきますので、そこは諦めずにですね、我々のようなキャタリストにリーチしてくれればなんとかしますって、やってみなはれを大阪に限らず日本でやっていきたいなというふうに考えております。そしてこんな感じで漫才がうまくできたかどうかはさておき、ちょっと締めに入ろうかと思ってまして、いきますか。せーの。
Welcome to Japan. Welcome to 関西。よろしくお願いいたします。ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございます。流れるような素敵なね、やってみなはれはパナソニックの松下幸之助さんのお言葉ですよね。大阪が誇る、パナソニックでございます。もう大阪というか日本、世界に誇るって感じでございますが、ありがとうございます。さあ、それではですね、2回目のコーヒーブレイクに移らせていただきたいと思います。この後はですね、第3部は、なんと、本当にたくさんの企業のね、皆様の、16企業の皆様のプレゼンをお聞きいただくことになりますので、じっくりとブレイクタイムをお楽しみいただければなというふうに思います。2回目のコーヒーブレイクに提供するお菓子は、先ほどとは違う4種類のクッキーが入っておりますので、ぜひそちらもお楽しみいただければと思います。こちらもスウェーデンの伝統的なお菓子、ジンジャークッキーご存知でしょうか。チェスクッキーなどもご存知ではないかなと思いますので、こちらもお楽しみいただければと思います。コーヒーブレイクは先ほどと同じ場所でございますね。先ほどよりどうでしょう、少し気温が下がっているかもしれませんが、どうぞね、暖かくしてお召し物を着ていただいて、ぜひテラスに出ていただければと思います。ですね、こちら5時10分までということでございますので、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。それではどうぞご移動くださいませ。皆様、ここからは本当に、すごい展開となります。素晴らしいノルディックの企業の皆様のプレゼンのお時間となります。一つの企業4分お話をいただきまして、16企業の皆様よりプレゼンテーションをいただくことになっておりますので、ぜひ皆様メモなどを取っていただきながら、しっかりとご覧いただければなというふうに思います。それでは早速よろしいでしょうか。はい、一つ目の企業からいきたいと思います。アイドジェンのアンデルス・カールソンさんです。お願いします。
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me to this very interesting meeting. My name is Anders Karlsson and I am the CEO of Idogen, a Swedish public cell therapy company. I will in the next few minutes introduce you to our innovative tollogenic cell therapy and to our three first development program applied on our platform technology.
What?
The company is well funded via the stock market, and we are in a very exciting phase of the company's development journey. We will now initiate our first in-human clinical study, which will also contribute not only to the documentation of our first development program, but also to a proof of concept to the technology as such. All three development programs have in common the aim to set off an unwanted activation of the immune system triggered by specific conditions or diseases. For example, IDO8 treatment with biological drugs, for example, factor A treatment of hemophilia A, towards which the immune system has created anti-drug antibodies. IDO-T, the next in row, rejection episodes after organ transplantation, today treated with lifelong immunosuppressants, which will give high risk for adverse effects. IDO-AIT, the last in row, autoimmune diseases, a large group of diseases towards which the immune system has wrongly created attacks towards the body's own cells and tissues. Idogen cell therapy is developed to remove these unwanted immunological reactions. Our technology is based on the understanding that it is possible to reprogram one of the key players in the immune system, the dendritic cells. With our technology, we aim to reset unwanted immunological reactions, which in the patient can cause very severe and life-threatening conditions. Our first three development programs are hemophilia, kidney transplantation with living donor, and autoimmune diseases. Idogen cell therapy is tailor-made to each individual patient. We take the patient's own dendritic cells via leukapheresis at the patient's local hospital. We thereafter ship them to our manufacturing site, GMP qualified, and reprogram them with the help of our proprietary tolerance inducer and the specific disease relevant antigen. Thereafter, we ship the cell therapy back to the patient's local hospital to treat the patient bi-weekly at 1 to 2 occasions. The tollogenic dendritic cells, when distributed back to the patients, will induce regulatory T cells with the purpose to induce tolerance within the patient's immune system. This is patients with high unmet medical need, and the global markers for these products is significant in value. We have a proven proof of concept principle for our cell therapy. We have submitted international PCT patent application, which most probably will give us 20 years of market exclusivity from now. We have established a partner for GMP production in Europe, and we will start clinical study in patients very soon in the future. We actually have approval by regulatory approvals authorities in the Nordics. We are looking for partners and investors for further accelerate the development of the tollogenic products. We are looking forward to discuss these opportunities with both pharma, biotech companies, and investors. Thank you.
ありがとうございました。素晴らしいプレゼンテーションでした。さあ、2つ目ですがね、こちらが SVF リチャード・ベフェルさんです。お願いいたします。リチャードいけますかね。リチャードさん。
Good evening, everybody. My name is Richard Button. I'm the CEO of Swedish Vaccine Factory, SVF. So we're a company that's focused on the discovery and development of vaccines and immunotherapies to prevent or to treat life-threatening infections. We're a spin-out from the Karolinska Institute and received pre-seed funding from Karolinska Development in 2020. We're focused on two principal projects, the first of which is SVF001. It's an immunotherapy for the functional cure of patients with chronic hepatitis B, including those patients who are superinfected with hepatitis D virus. This is a major problem in Japan. Japan has 3.8 million people who are chronically infected with HBV, and we see this project as the area of future investment in our company. We're anticipating that we will be ready to start phase 1 in late 2023. In addition, we have a prophylactic vaccine targeting both the current COVID pandemic, but also other beta coronaviruses. This is intended for patients who are subject who don't respond adequately to first generation COVID vaccines. We're fully funded on this project by the European Union through to the completion of phase 1, and that clinical study will start in the second half of this year. So the origin of our projects, we, as I mentioned, we're spun out from the Karolinska Institute, and specifically, this is work that has been generated by Matti Selberg, Lars Frölin, and Margaret Chen, and colleagues at the Karolinska Institute. Matti is the Professor of Laboratory Science and has more than 20 years experience in the discovery and early development of a number of different vaccines for infectious diseases. My background is in infectious disease R&D for more than 30 years in a variety of big and small companies. So in a bit more detail, SVF001, we have a strong package of in vitro and in vivo data supporting its further development, demonstrating that we have both good T-cell responses, able to kill virally infected cells, and then also to effectively neutralize both HBV and HDV in vivo, studies that were performed in mice with humanized livers. We've also demonstrated that this overcomes a key challenge in the immunological cure of HBV, namely tolerance. So we've shown that our vaccine is fully immunogenic in the face of tolerance using transgenic mice carrying the HBV surface antigen. So as mentioned, this is IND ready in 2023 and with patent protection expected through at least 2040. In the case of SVF002, we have a strong package of immunogenicity data from preclinical studies. In particular, we see that this virus gives extremely good T-cell responses against conserved beta coronavirus epitopes and have demonstrated that it responds both to human and to bat viruses, demonstrating the breadth of protection. The CTA filing is expected next month, and we're expecting to have phase 1 data in early 2023. So in summary, this is a privately held company focused on cutting-edge vaccines. We're expecting that SVF001 is expected to be a transformative immunotherapy for HBV, and we see this as being a project which would be particularly suited to Japanese partnership. We're looking for investment at the moment, a seed funding round of 1.5 million euros, preparing then for an 18 million euro Series A round in late 2022. And this would enable completion of the phase 1 study with SVF001. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。続きまして、ヘランティス・フランス・ウィテさん、お願いいたします。
Thank you very much for inviting me to this summit. I'll give you a short introduction to Herantis Pharma, a Finnish biotech company developing disease-modifying therapies for neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's disease. As you said, my name is Frans Wouter and I'm the CEO of the Herantis Pharma. Are you able to help me with the slides moving on? Can we have the next slide, please? Well, in case, yes, thank you. Since we're a publicly traded company, I wish to refer you to our disclaimers before proceeding with my presentation. And next slide, please. So Parkinson's disease is the second most common neurodegenerative disease with an estimated 8 million patients globally today. The symptoms of the disease are caused by degeneration and death of dopamine-producing nerve cells in midbrain. And today's therapies are symptomatic only and mostly dopamine replacement agents that are not effective after some time and fail to delay the progress of the disease. So Herantis has now been able to develop HER96, a novel therapy that has the potential to stop or to delay the progress of the disease. Next slide, please. And we've done it in the following way. So HER96 is a small peptidomimetic drug based on the natural neuroprotective large protein called cerebral dopamine neurotrophic factor, or CDNF. It has the same disease-modifying mode of action as CDNF. However, in contrast to CDNF, it passes the blood-brain barrier and can therefore be given as a simple subcutaneous administration. Next slide, please. We have confirmed the mechanism of action of HER96 in several animal studies, and shown also on the right-hand side, you can see that nicely, that it can readily pass the blood-brain barrier and reach the brain. This is important, and not to forget that roughly 99% of pharmaceuticals do not pass the blood-brain barrier, so it's a major milestone. Next slide, please. I think in summary, we believe that Herantis offers an interesting value proposition because, first of all, we have been able to develop a drug with a novel mechanism of action and blockbuster potential. The market in this area is large and rapidly growing. There's a clear unmet medical and societal need for better therapies and disease-modifying therapies in Parkinson's disease. And we have generated a compelling evidence of HER96 unique mechanism of action in animal studies, and wish to continue by conducting the first in human clinical study next year, and to demonstrate also safety and blood-brain barrier penetration after subcutaneous administration next year in man. So this is an important milestone in the development of neurodegenerative drugs and a good opportunity for us for partnering. I thank you very much for your interest. Arigatou gozaimasu.
はい、どうもありがとうございました。それでは続きまして、ポピット、ティモ・ヘイキラさんです。マイクとビデオをオンにしていただければと思います。お願いいたします。
Yes, hello everyone. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me. We at Popit make medication connected, and we do that with our unique solution. So the problem is that 50% of patients are missing doses, mostly because patients are forgetting, but reminder applications need remembering too. And actually, it's not the elderly patients. Younger patients are missing more doses, and they need most help. The other side of this problem is that the pharmaceutical companies are losing over a third of their potential revenue because the packaging is analog, there's no data, it's very expensive to make the packaging smart. So gaining that medication consumption information is difficult, and it is very difficult also to engage the patient to take their medication better. This is where Popit comes in with our unique solution. There's a sensor device that is clipped onto the medication package, and it automatically detects whenever the patient takes the medication. This is usable for thousands of medication brands on the market already now. How it works is that we have three components in the solution. The patient clips on the device onto the medication blister, where it automatically detects when the medication has been taken. This information is sent to our medically certified application, which reminds the patient only if they have missed their dose. So there are no needless reminders. The information is sent also in an unidentifiable format to our cloud, then where we store the data, but then also from the cloud, we are able to send patient support messages back to the patient based on how the patient has been taking medications and what stage of the treatment journey they are in. As an example, one of our pharmaceutical company customers has had their baseline adherence of 55% for their high value medication. Now with Popit, the adherence with that same medication is 82%. This substantial improvement of nearly 50% brings more efficient treatment, new revenue, data that has not been accessible before, and first and foremost, happier patients. But it's not only for these types of medications. We can see that as the population is growing older, also elderly patients are learning to use technology. And this data comes from one of our pilots in the UK, where patients have been using anticoagulants. The patient's average age is roughly 67 years, and they have reached even 100% adherence on certain weeks. So really encouraging results there. The patient receives a solution that gives them better treatment outcomes, support between doctor visits, and 98% of our patients say that Popit has helped them with their medication taking. The healthcare providers gain an elevated standard of care. They can share treatment content via the application to the patient, and they can influence treatment with data. For pharmaceutical companies, we provide better treatment outcomes. We increase adherence and also resulting revenue, as I mentioned earlier, the differentiation versus competition, and also gaining medication intake data from market and trials. So how we stand out is that there are no needless reminders. The medication tracking is automatic and passive. There's no changes to packaging, which is really important, and the impact is validated. We have a very diverse team where we have expertise from different areas. We also have native Japanese speakers in the team. We have a very broad advisor team coming from the pharmaceutical industry. Popit has already deployments in Japan, and we are available. Now we are seeking customers, research partners, and investors. We are removing treatment barriers by making medication connected. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。続いて5企業目になりますペインドレーナーエリック・フリックさん、マイクとビデオをオンにしてください。お願いします。
Thank you very much. Hello all, and nice to meet you online. My name is Eric Frick, and I am the CEO for Swedish health tech company Paindrainer. So Paindrainer is working in the field of chronic pain, which is truly a global problem. Just looking at the US and Europe specifically, we can see about 190 million people suffers from some sort of chronic pain. This equals some one-fifth of the population, or 20%. However, despite this, most people don't ever get to see a doctor to aid with their chronic pain. So only 2% actually see a specialist to understand their pain. However, from a company perspective, 30% of all sick leave is due to some sort of chronic pain, meaning that both the society and companies in general get a big cost for this, indirect cost. So given this, study shows that chronic pain in European and US healthcare system stands for approximately 1.5 to 3% of the GDP. This equals some 300 billion euros versus $600 billion. So it's quite a large problem. So what does Paindrainer do then? Well, we provide patients with a digital, patient-centric self-management tool that is based on clinical practice. The engine behind Paindrainer is a mobile app that is built on a proprietary neural network that detects behavior that triggers pain. And then the app can present advice to limit or reduce the pain, increasing the quality of life. And our clinical studies show that we have significant improvement in quality of life already in 6 weeks. So 2 out of 3 people say that within 6 weeks, their quality of life has improved significantly. So I would say that there are 3 main reasons why Paindrainer stands out from the crowd, so to say. The first is that we are truly patient-centric. Our AI software, our neural network, adapts to each individual patient, meaning that we don't look at or care for the population data that says that on a population of 100 people, this used to be the problem, or this seems to be a problem. We look at each individual. The second part is that we have clinical evidence. We are the first digital pain tool demonstrating improved quality of life based on clinical evidence, but we have leading hospitals and universities around the world. And the third part is that we are a classified company. We are certified, CE certified for EU, and we also have an FDA approval, meaning that we can sell in both Europe and United States. So when we see our short-term goals, our company is some 3.5 years old, and we have worked all this time to understand and develop the functionality between the AI and engine. And now we see that we can create the value for patients that we need to. So this means that looking forward, we are initiating our commercialization process, and we do that twofold. Both the business to consumer part, where we go through distribution directly to consumer through digital advertising, but then also through partnership for the business to business segment, where we can get benefit for both ourselves, companies, and patients in the third line. In addition to this, we are also looking for a new Series A financing round to further develop the UX, the UI, and the process surrounding our products and service. Thank you very much.
はい、ありがとうございました。続きましては、ミンプラン・イエッテ・ラルセンさん、マイクとビデオをオンにしてください。
My name is Jette Larsen, and I'm the CEO of MeanPlan. MeanPlan is a SaaS platform that helps people dealing with severe mental crisis, and we offer data, insight, guidelines, and plans so the person in mental crisis and the nearest caregiver can take the right action and move in a positive direction when a crisis escalates. Also, by providing tools for strengthening the knowledge sharing, the communication, and the information, we give the user redemption and peace of mind. We build upon best practice within the field of psychiatry, and we build upon a method called safety planning. Also, I like to add that we are a spin-off from a Danish research institute. Traditionally, a mental crisis is treated with biological and psychological intervention. MeanPlan wants also to activate the social dimension. We aim to empower the nearest caregiver because we know that the nearest caregiver often is good persistent support that can help in the recovery process. That is why we have built the solution for social support that offers small groups and family and the person in mental crisis support so they can help themselves and each other in time of crisis. We have built this with the help of people with real life experience, with the nearest caregivers, and with clinicians and researchers in the field of psychiatry. And we have done this because we know that a severe mental crisis potentially can lead to death and hospitalizations. We also know that people often do not get the help they need because of stigma, taboo, and economical problems. MeanPlan is trying to help in this situation because we believe that nobody should go through this alone. We have built MeanPlan as an innovative AI data-driven solution, and we are a first mover app empowering people in a crisis and their network to take the right immediate action. And we are first mover app to build digital phenotype of people in severe crisis and use this knowledge to forecast the risk and save the next life. MeanPlan helps the user and the nearest caregiver to get the knowledge they need to take the right action and do the intervention at the right time. And we process the data intelligently so we can prepare the user and the nearest caregiver for the next coming mental crisis. As far as we know, we are the only available mental crisis management company working with the empowerment of relatives through AI and data sharing. And we look into a huge market which increased massively according to WHO, mainly because of COVID-19. And we take 5% of this market, we can potentially reach a revenue of $96 million per year in Japan. We now validate the setup in Japan with the Department of Neuropsychiatry in Sapporo, and they will run the test and the research regarding the Japanese context. The platform is translated into 9 different languages. We have users from 20 different countries, and we have a bunch of strategic partnership. We are here today because we seek funding and strategic partnership in Japan. So please join us in the nearest future. People should not fight mental crisis alone, and we want to help them. We want to grow our audience, and we want to spread out the social dimension of recovery. Thank you very much.
はい、ありがとうございました。続いて7企業目です。ビタコンのクリスティン・ワーレさん、お願いいたします。マイクとビデオをオンにしてください。 さあ、オンラインの方もついてきていただいてますか？それから会場の方もね、しっかりとこう、肩を上下してリラックスしながら聞いていただければと思います。クリスティンさん、準備はいかがでしょうか？
I'm Christine Varro. I'm the CEO of a company called Vituscan based in Norway. And Vituscan is a medical device company manufacturing bladder scanners. We have a global distributor network who reach end users in hospitals and clinics, and we also have production plants in Europe and in USA. Our product is the Vituscan bladder scanner. It is a medical class 2 device. It's an ultrasound probe for non-invasive bladder volume measurement. It works like this. You put the probe on the abdomen and you locate the bladder and you click another one and you have a bladder volume measurement. It's an automatic measurement and very easy to use in nursing care. And the probe comes with software, and it can be attached to different laptops or your stationary computer, or mounted in a rack to use in different medical hospital departments. And it can also be integrated as a standalone portable device, as I show you now in this slide. The key indications for use is to optimize the time for catheterization, to do it only when necessary to prevent bladder muscle damage, and also to prevent urinary tract infections related to catheterization. It's also commonly used to diagnose urinary retention, postoperative urinary retention, post-void residual, and bladder outlet obstructions. We can see that the growing prevalence of urological diseases increases diagnostic procedures and increasing utilization of mobile portable ultrasound devices in clinics and hospitals. It contributes to a growth of the bladder scanner market. In Europe, it's protocolized and it's widely used of course, in urology departments, but we see an increasing growth in gynecology, rehabilitation, neurology, strokes, in many different healthcare facilities, in diagnostic clinics and nursing homes, at general practitioners, doctors, incontinence advisors, and also commonly used in primary care, home care. In the Japanese market, the ultrasound bladder scanning was nationally reimbursed in 2020, and it's commonly used in urology department. We also see the growing market in infection prevention in all healthcare facilities. So we are looking at the Vituscan bladder scanner as a new technology driver in other than urology market, to extend healthy life years and prevent infections and to make early diagnosis. So we want to reduce the risk of infection, reduce cost, save time, and improve patient quality of life. We are looking for a distributor to introduce the Vituscan bladder scanner in Japan. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。それでは続きまして、エピガードジェーン・ハセビーさんですね。お願いいたします。マイクとビデオをオンにしてください。
Thank you so much for your time, everyone. My name is June Husby-Sorknes, and I work as a product specialist in Epigard. Epigard is a Norwegian medtech company established in 2015 by a medical team at Oslo University Hospital. As the slide here indicates, we have received a couple of achievements for our work, but the achievement that we are probably the proudest of is the ISO 13485 certificate that we achieved this year. So preparedness is not about if something happens, it's about when it happens. And I believe everyone here can confirm that it's important to implement good plans to ensure preparedness for the next disease X, especially after these 2 years with a global pandemic. And this is part of the problem that Epigard aims to solve. So healthcare professionals put themselves at risk every day when transporting contagious patients. And usually today's transport isolators require PPE. They're not very robust, tend to leak, they're uncomfortable to work with, for the healthcare providers, and they're uncomfortable to lie inside for the patients. It's limited medical possibilities in terms of treatment, and they're generally quite impractical to work with and not very cost efficient, as they tend to be for one-time use. And this is something our founder, Fridtjof Heydal, discovered back in 2014, when he was part of a team that went down to West Africa to bring home a Norwegian physician that was infected by Ebola on a mission with Doctors Without Borders. And that's when he realized that there is a need for a better solution for transporting infectious patients. And this resulted in our solution, the Epi-Shuttle. So what does the Epi-Shuttle do? The Epi-Shuttle allows for quick isolation of both contagious as well as vulnerable patients. There is no need to wear PPE during transportation, and it ensures complete protection and safety for all healthcare professionals involved. It's also a very versatile solution, as it goes into most transport vehicles, or it's compatible with most transport vehicles, and it has been used on both sea, road, as well as air level. Lastly, it's also possible to provide medical treatment during transportation. And don't only take my or our word for it, we have a lot of customers worldwide. If you're very interested, feel free to go to our testimonial page to read more in detail about their experiences with the Epi-Shuttle. So for a while now, we have worked on our entry strategy to the Japanese market. And we have done quite extensive market research on requirements, market characteristics, insight, and so on. And we're now in a phase where we are in search for a distributor or a launch partner in Japan. So to sum up, the Epi-Shuttle provides value to the patient as it allows for safety. It's also very safe for the healthcare professionals that's on the job. And lastly, the solution is more sustainable, as there is no need to disinfect the vehicle after it's been used. And it's also cost efficient, as it can be used over and over again. I realize I'm over time now, but I will stop with our motto, save one and protect everyone.
はい、ありがとうございました。さあ、それでは続きまして、プライメックス、グドン・ウィンドソンさんです。お願いします。マイクとビデオをオンにしてください。
Hi, we are Primis, located in north of Iceland. Our main products are Citricare medical wound healing gel for the treatment of acute and chronic wounds, as well as other skin conditions. Also, we have a medical healing spray for treatment of irritated damaged skins. And we are in a medical device according to the European Directive 93 on medical devices. Wound healing gel and variants are acne healing gel, eczema healing gel, sport healing gel, scar healing gel, Surgerex healing gel, burn healing gel, and diabetic wound healing gel. And healing spray and variants and acne healing spray, eczema healing spray, Surgerex healing spray is also available. The wound healing gel effective reduces chronic wounds, protects against infection, heal wounds and burns, reduces redness, itching, and pain, help reduce bleeding, minimize scarring, and promotes natural skin healing. Scar healing gel minimizes scar formation, reduces existing scars, forms of film to protect the skin, promotes natural skin healing, protects against infection, reduces redness and itching and pain. The healing spray are ideal for irritated and damaged skin, protects the skin, heal minor wounds and burns, reduces redness, itching, and pain, relieves minor burns and sunburns, and promotes natural skin healing. Here we have an example of healing spray. A girl who burned in the sun, and 6 hours later, significant difference. It calms the skin and provides a cool and pleasant soothing effect. Here we have a girl who ran through a glass, and from day 1, when the stitch was removed, they started to apply the medical scar healing gel. And after 8 months, it's almost gone. Here we have our production manager. He was barbecuing with a gas grill, had a gas explosion, and took him 12 days to heal. He used wound healing gel at night, and Cetogel healing spray and Cetogel beauty body lotion daily for skin protection and moisturizing. We are Primex. We have been a successful food supplement business in Japan since 2004, and we are seeking a medical device distributor. Primex have attended the exhibition in Tokyo and visited customers, and the Icelandic embassy hosted a Primex customer meeting and event in 2013. And you see that photo. Here's Helen, our R&D director, and our CEO, Sigrid Sigfúsdóttir, along with the ambassador and clients. And we are seeking a distributor in Japan. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。さあ、それでは続きまして、アーケルバイオマリンジャパン株式会社のアネッテ山本ハンセンさん、お願いいたします。
はい、すいません。皆さん聞こえてますでしょうか？
聞こえております。
はい、ありがとうございます。本日英語ということだったので、英語でプレゼンをさせていただければと思います。Hello everyone, my name is Anette Yamamoto Hansen and I'm the representative director of Aker Biomarine in Japan. Aker is so Aker Biomarine is a part of the Norwegian Aker Group, which has approximately 180-year-long maritime history. And Aker Biomarine was founded in 2003 and as a part of the Aker Group, and we just opened up our Japanese subsidiary in Tokyo this January. So we're a company specializing in the Antarctic Krill, and I will give you a brief overview of our ingredient, Superba Krill. So first of all, what is krill? Krill comes from the Norwegian word krill, actually, which means a small fry of fish and can be found all over the world. But our company is only harvesting krill in the Antarctic Ocean, which is known as the most clean ocean on the planet. And due to the harsh conditions in the Antarctic Ocean, the krill you find here is known for its abundant nutrients, which we are turning into krill oil. So in krill oil, you can find a lot of the nutrients that you find in conventional omega-3 products, DHA, EPA. But in addition, you also have nutrients like astaxanthin, you have phospholipids, phosphatidylcholine, and choline. So these nutrients coming together in a natural blend, it's what makes the krill oil unique. So there are research that indicates that the uptake in the body of omega-3s is about twice as high as conventional omega-3s. And this is due to the phospholipid form that the krill oil comes in. And so to summarize, what makes krill oil special is that it's in phospholipid format, which ensures various health benefits for those who take it. So we're focusing on these 6 areas: skin, brain, heart, liver, eye, and sports, as in recovery and anti-inflammation. And the number of research coming out when it comes to krill oil is increasing year by year. And among these krill oil studies, Superba Krill Oil is the most researched krill oil brand on the market. And with NDA, a non-disclosure agreement in place, we can share some of these studies with companies interested in making krill oil a part of their product portfolio. And we're also a company taking pride in our long history when it comes to sustainability. I dare say that we are a sustainability pioneer with almost 2 decades of commitment to sustainability. And as this Antarctic Ocean is known as the cleanest ocean on the planet, we have a commitment to making sure that we can leave it in a pristine state, as well as avoiding bycatch through our proprietary technology called eco-harvesting. And so we make a lot of different products from the krill, a lot of exciting innovations coming up that I hope to share with you at a later stage. But to summarize, there are a lot of potential applications for krill oil. And today, me, myself, and Toda Masakazu are at the, we're physically at the event. So, 皆様とぜひクリルオイルの可能性についてお話ができればと思っております。本日はありがとうございました。よろしくお願いいたします。
はい、ありがとうございました。それでは続きまして、セレブリオ、オデト・メヌヒンさんです。マイクビデオをオンにしてください。
Yeah. Pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Oded. I'm from Ceribio, which is a Danish medtech company, and we automate radiology workflow with AI and machine learning. So today, 90% of the population, whether from developed or developing countries, does not have access to MRI. And we know that although the demand for neuroimaging increases by 9% every year, as you can see by the blue curve, the amount of radiologists does not grow proportionally. And that leads to a lot of stress and burnout. When we look at Japan, Japan has the most MRIs per million worldwide, and is one of the most leading when it comes to imaging, which is almost like in the United States. But although it's the same amount of imaging, like in the US, as you can see on the top right, the amount of radiologists are very low, and that leads to up to 70% of burnout in radiology. So today an MRI scanner can do up to 20 exams per day. We want to double that to 40 to reduce the burnout. So how do we do it? We have two different products called the MR Smart Protocol and the MR Smart Alert. The MR Smart Protocol analyzes sequences while the patient is in the scanner, so we can tell if there is a pathology or not. If there is a pathology, we can tell it very fast. We can accelerate the treatment. And if there is no pathology, we can evacuate the MRI to give it to another patient. We also know today that we acquire too many images that do not provide value for the patient per se. So in that way, we acquire the right sequences, the right images for the right patient at the right time. The second product is the MR Smart Alert, and we give a prioritization of the patients, but also we can accelerate the process from diagnosis to treatment. Today we have a CE mark product, and we have R&D partners from all over the world, but we're also looking at Japan right now. We are on our pathway to get the FDA clearance. We have 2 patents and 1 paying customer in Denmark. To summarize, we automate radiology workflows with AI. We acquire only the right images for the right patient at the right time and reduce the burnout. We prioritize the patients, and we look for innovative hospitals as well as investors in Japan as we want to expand. And we welcome you to join. That's all from me. Arigato gozaimasu.
ありがとうございました。どうもありがとうございます。それでは引き続きまして、ハイテスト、テッポヘイモさんです。お願いします。ビデオマイクオンにしてください。
So, thank you everyone for having me this opportunity to present in the Nordic Health Summit. My name is Teppo Heimo. I'm working as a business development manager at Hitest in sales and marketing. Currently, I'm responsible for Japanese market, and we already have some business there, and focus is to expand our business in that market. So who we are at Hitest, we are a biotechnology company, and we believe in science and all the possibilities it can bring for everyone, and that is the very core value of what we do. Our products are scientifically designed and characterized, and our customers are one of the biggest companies in the whole IVD industry globally. Together with our customers, we provide the best protein-based raw materials for immunodiagnostic tests, and we tackle the challenges through science and finalized processes. We are headquartered in Finland, Turku, and we operate globally from the Nordic countries. The HITES has been established in 1994, so we are actually a quite established company, and we develop and produce monoclonal antibodies and antigens that can be used as a raw material in laboratory tests. Many of our customers in the IVD industry are already using our products in certified tests, and we have a comprehensive product portfolio in cardiac markers, infectious diseases, inflammation, metabolic syndrome, blood coagulation, and hormones, and variety of other clinical categories. We develop, manufacture, and supply all of these products directly from Finland globally. Every year, we produce and deliver over 1,000 different regions to more than 50 countries globally. And these products are comprised from monoclonal antibodies, polyclonal antibodies, antigens, and serum and plasma that can be used in manufacturing of immunodiagnostic tests and development of those tests. We have very deep customer intimacy, and together with our customers, we do have direct contacts with them, and especially in some regions, we also use distributors, so the customers can choose the proper purchasing channel that they are happy to work with. And we do offer personalized service with the customer needs in our mind. So what are we looking for? We are looking for in vitro diagnostic customers, both big and small in Japan, to supply high quality reagents as a raw material for their immunodiagnostic test development. We provide well-characterized antibodies and antigens, as well as technical support to help our customers to develop best possible immunoassays for a variety of platforms. And we believe that together with our customers, we are able to solve the challenges in diagnostics. Thank you for the opportunity, and looking forward for the matchmaking. And if you have any questions, please contact me through email or LinkedIn. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。さあ、続いての企業はスプリントバイオサイエンスマルティン・アンデルソンさんです。お願いします。マイクとビデオをオンにしてください。どうぞ。
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak at this meeting. My name is Martin Andersson. I'm Chief Scientific Officer at Sprint Bioscience. And we are a company who work in preclinical drug discovery. So we provide global pharma companies with first-in-class oncology drug candidates. And the company was founded. I don't think you're seeing my slides change, right?
Hi, Martin. I don't think you're on full screen at the moment. If you can just press that.
I am on my computer, but now
we can see it.
Yes, and if I go full screen, you don't see my full screen, right? Okay, I will have to leave it in this mode, unfortunately.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. So the company was founded in 2009, and we're based in Stockholm, Sweden. And the whole company was founded around a fragment-based drug design platform So all of the drug candidates that we are developing are small molecule drugs. And we aim to develop first-in-class precision oncology programs in all of our programs that we work with. So we exclusively work with innovative targets. And we also have a business model where we out-license those programs in the pre-clinical stages. And currently we are 35 employees, a team of experienced drug hunters in a very streamlined organization. And that enables us to very cost efficiently develop new drug candidates. And we can do that also with a speed that allows us to maintain our first-in-class opportunity. And we also are able to develop these drug candidates with the quality that our pharma partners are looking for. And over the years, we have done a number of deals with programs coming from our platform with companies both in Europe, the US, and also in Asia. And we have very much enjoyed the discussions we have had over the years with Japanese companies, and we would very much like to add a Japanese company to this list. So currently we have 3 programs, 3 licensing opportunities that are available for licensing. We have our VADA program, which is targeting a protein called VRK1, which is involved in the DNA damage response. We have our DISA program, which targets a protein called TREX1, which is involved in tumor immunity. And we have our NEMA program, which is targeting a protein called NNMT, which is in the immunometabolism space. So if you have an interest in licensing first-in-class oncology programs, we would be happy to have a meeting with you, and you can find us in the partnering system, and otherwise we also have our contact information here on this slide. Thank you very much for your attention.
はい、ありがとうございました。さあ、続いてはノーディックバイオサイエンス、アンクリスティン・ベイ・イエンセンさんです。お願いします。
Hello, my name is Rune Vestermark, and I'm heading the Business Development Department at Nordic Bioscience. I'm really thankful to be able to present to all of you today. So Nordic Bioscience is a scientifically driven biotech company based just outside Copenhagen, Denmark. We've been here for 30 years, and actually 80% of our 200 employees are directly involved in science. We are scientifically driven, comes to show by us having more than 60 publications last year alone, and actually more than 600 publications in high-ranked journals over the last 30 years. We have a wide range of biomarkers in our portfolio, and we are developing simple ELISA assays every day. We have 3 assays approved by the FDA, and actually more in line to be approved as we speak. In preparation for that, we are putting several of these simple ELISA assays on high-precision platforms, such as the Roche Cobas platform, which actually allows us to measure these biomarkers worldwide. Nordic Bioscience has 2 divisions, a research division where we develop new biomarkers, and a CAP-accredited laboratory where we measure samples from clinical trials all over the world. We are a well-established company by now, and we are actually working with most of top pharma companies and biotechs. We also have good ongoing collaborations in Japan already. As you can see here, we have scientific collaborations with companies such as Takeda, Eisai, and Astellas. This is basically what we are interested in. It's the extracellular matrix tissue turnover. In a healthy state, the tissue balance has an equal amount of tissue formation and tissue degradation. But in various diseases, this state of balance is skewed. With non-alcoholic steatohepatitis or NASH as an example, we have more tissue formation than degradation, thus an accumulation of collagens in the liver. But interestingly enough, even during fibrogenesis-driven diseases, you actually also have higher tissue degradation. And using the right biomarkers, we can actually measure both. For many years, the field has been looking at a collagen staining and saying, oh my God, there's collagen accumulation. We believe that we can actually do much better than this. The matrix and extracellular matrix consists of 28 different collagens. And we have developed special monoclonal antibodies against male epitopes, which are newly generated fragments of a specific protein. So our antibodies only recognizes the male epitope that we target, but not the non-cleaved species of this intact protein. This is exemplified here with collagen type 3, where we have actually developed 7 different assays from formation and degradation of just one simple collagen. And these can have different biological meaning across different cancers, fibrotic and immunologic diseases. We are very driven by precision medicine, and to us, precision medicine is, can we find fast progressors? Can we find optimal responders to different therapies by including the right patients in clinical trials? And of course, early efficacy. We do this by measuring the same biomarkers across species. So if you're involved in drug development in any of the diseases on this slide, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you very much.
はい、ありがとうございました。それでは続きまして、ゲーラソリューションズ、リカルド・フォルスマンさん、お願いいたします。マイクオン、ビデオオンでお願いいたします。
Hello everyone, and thank you for having us. My name is Richard Forsman. I'm CEO of Jera Solutions, and I apologize for the sound in the background and poor lighting, etc. We're currently exhibiting at a large trade fair in Sweden in the field of dementia. So we are active there and we have to be here. So that's why the setting. But as mentioned, Richard Forsman, CEO of Jera Solutions. We are in the field of cognitive disease that is causing dementia, such as Alzheimer's disease. And this is globally affecting about 20 individuals every minute. So it's a large disease area that most of us have some relation to. The challenge here is that only 25% actually get an appropriate diagnosis for this disease. So globally, 75% never get diagnosed at all. And the ones that do get diagnosed usually get the wrong diagnosis, which is the case of Alzheimer's disease that is very often wrongly diagnosed. At the same time, we see a quite rapid increase in the number of cases, and this is driven by an aging population. And of course, the situation in Japan with the demographics, as you have, makes this an even more pressing issue. Because beyond the individual suffering for the affected individual, but also their families, is the cost to society. So we look at more than 250 billion euros every year, and this is twice the cost for cancer and 3 times the cost for cardiovascular disease. The core of the problem here is related to patient access and the ability to get the right competences to diagnose in healthcare, but also a problem of resource availability within healthcare. So what we do as Jeras is that we've actually developed a digital patient flow for how to diagnose and identify the right patients much earlier in the disease. So we've packaged a comprehensive anamnesis with screening for differential diagnostics, such as depression, alcoholism, other things that may cause similar types of symptoms. We've also built a cognitive test that we've just 1 year ago published our first clinical study. We have a second one coming now, where we see that we have higher precision than what we actually have with the traditional pen and paper based type of testing. But we also have a validated framework for relatives assessments of symptoms. This is all administered digitally and interpreted and presented to healthcare, so that makes it easier for them to provide the right decision and continue the diagnostic procedure. By doing this, we can increase the quality of care by having higher precision and better decision support, but we can also increase the capacity For us, it takes about 2 to 8 times, goes 2 to 8 times faster actually to provide the right diagnosis. And we can also drastically cut costs, not only the direct time saving, but also the value of providing earlier diagnosis and better support for the patient. We're doing this in clinical practice in several regions in Sweden, or of course now looking into other areas such as Japan, where the issue is large as well. We do this by also providing a direct to patient service, and this is important because we can allow easier access from the comfort of your home, and that way lower the threshold to actually get the assessment started. This has not been possible before and will help a lot of individuals to initiate the assessment. What we're looking for is partners for internationalization, especially in the Japanese market, both with access to payers and public healthcare providers and research, but also investors, of course. And to sum up, we have a huge problem here. We have a large market and a scalable way of doing it. And with the therapeutics that are coming now, the timing has never been more important than right now. Thank you.
はい、どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとう。
ありがとうございます。いよいよ最後となりましたね。アムニオティクスエンキルデコーレさん、お願いします。
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to present. And I just, let me see, am I still on mute? Doesn't look like it, right? Okay, great. So you could say kind of the last one here, or last opportunity to present some very interesting companies here. And we were, you could say, talking from the amniotic side, a bit of a different company structure and focus here because we are developing stem cell therapeutics. We are both developing them, manufacturing, moving all the way through to clinical trials in order to treat serious and life-threatening diseases where really we see effective treatments are lacking or insufficient. And why do we work with stem cells? Because you could say it's a more complicated thing to work with a cell compared to a small molecule and an antibody. Well, the reason being is that several of the new diseases or old diseases that we have difficulties in treating really have a more complex way of having the disease. So we need new therapeutics to treat these diseases. And also because stem cells have multiple mode of actions. They are anti-fibrotic or inflammatory modulatory. They are anti-fibrotic or anti-scarring, so they're able to remove that scarring that we often see in tissues when we have a tissue insult, being a damage to the tissue due to an insult. You could say a damage just hitting yourself or simply from inflammation as well. And also the fact that these cells are able to rebuild tissue, organs, etc., directly, or probably more relevant indirectly, by stimulating the cells in the damaged tissue for improved self-repair. You can kind of think of this as re-educating these cells or your own body with these cells. And what is really differentiating here is amniotics. And amniotics is working with amniotic fluid or stem cells from the amniotic fluid. We do that by having our own CMARC device to extract amniotic fluid from plant C-sections and being able to take these for the different organs from the fetus or neonate is in contact with from this fluid. So this is an overview of the process that we are working with. We control the full value chain within this. We have the device to extract amniotic fluid from plant C-sections. Then this fluid is transported to our facility where we filter it, we extract the cells, we sort them, isolate them for the different tissues, then we can expand them and fill in them vials, which means that we have the ability to produce lung-specific stem cells, kidney-specific stem cells, dermatology or skin-specific stem cells, as well as kidney-specific stem cells. You could say really a broad possibilities here with a really broad pipeline and really a platform technology, and we move forward with that. So if we kind of take the next slide here, just a second, there we go. So first off, we have the lung-specific area where we're targeting ARDS, acute respiratory stress syndrome, as well as COVID-19. We have this study that is just about to be kicked off. We have the clinical trial approval for a couple of countries in Europe. and then we can say we are moving on with that. Next on will be idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, as long as lung transplantations, two seriously diseases or issues that really need proper treatment compared to what we see right now. And we get at that stage, we will be starting to bring in the next pipeline products for these different indications. We have neuro and CNS diseases, we have skin diseases, kidney diseases, and then you could say the last part of our pipeline is going for developing hematopoietic stem cells, generating the immune system and enabling us to you could say, work with what's called white blood cells, you could say natural killer cells, T cells, and etc. So with that, I'll just end it off here within the time. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。どうもありがとうございました。以上16の大変個性的なね、多彩な企業集まりました。まだ聞き足りないこととかね、もっと聞きたいことたくさんあったと思います。ぜひね、この後、楽しみに、商談などでつながっていっていただければと思います。こちらの会場でのプログラムは以上でございますが、皆様いかがでしたでしょうか。今回の閉会に際しまして、スウェーデン大使館商務部、投資部、投資官、マグヌス・ブロンデルよりご挨拶、そして次のご案内も申し上げたいと思います。
So thank you so much for everyone joining online and everyone joining on site at the embassy in Tokyo. Thank you for all the speakers and for all the presenters. I'm very proud to be one of the organizers here today. And before we move on, let me try to summarize this very diverse session. We started out with Ootsuka-san from Takeda Pharmaceuticals that described how digitalization is one of the sources that drives the need for collaborations, where even very big companies need to work together with other companies, including startups. Then we moved over to talk show styles, where my Nordic colleagues shared latest developments and the structures in innovations and startups in the Nordics, but also talked about the healthcare sectors in the Nordics and how they in some ways differ and some ways are similar to Japan and face similar challenges. Then we had the pleasure to listen to a great talk show from i2.jp and Osaka Innovation Hub about international collaborations, healthcare innovation in Japan. And I skipped the order there in my mind. We also had Peter Volpert from Industrifonden who shared the Nordic landscape for healthcare funding and investments in the Nordics that has some particularities that are different from Japan. And he also welcomed partnerships with Japanese investors and industrials. And of course, we had 16 Nordic companies pitching. Very short sessions, 4 minutes, very diverse group of companies from a lot of different sectors, and biotech companies, health tech companies, medical device companies that showed the diverse offer we have from the Nordics. And please keep in mind that this was just a cross-section, that we have even more companies online, total of over 60 Nordic companies and over 60 Japanese companies that will be meeting online tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So today was just the start to get in shape for the matchmaking, which is really the main purpose of this exercise. So we not right now, when I checked, we have roughly 130 meetings confirmed for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. We still have quite a few of unanswered invitations. So I'd like to ask everyone, both those online, joining from Nordics and Japan, but also those on site, to take a few moments just when we finish this up, to have a look at your invitations. And you don't need to accept all of them, but try to answer them. And also, this is a special offer for people on site. I have a very talented and friendly colleague called Casper, who's waiting at the reception, where he will provide a help desk. If there's anyone who has forgot his or her password, we can help with that. And also other things on the platform, which is quite complex. And yes, so it's been great being one of the hosts, and I am looking forward to talking to all of you. For those to have the opportunity to move upstairs to the reception at the embassy's residence. And please, talk to each other. It's been a long time since we could do sessions like this that are at least part face to face. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
ありがとうございました。皆様、長時間にわたりましてお付き合いいただきまして本当にありがとうございました。会場の皆様もオンライン参加の皆様、そしてスピーカーの皆様も本当にありがとうございました。本サミットがですね、北欧と日本の交流をさらに深めまして新たなイノベーションの機会になりますことを心からお祈り申し上げて、こちらの会場でのプログラムを終了とさせていただきたいと思います。本日は誠にありがとうございました。